Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Thursday, or let's think of it as Friday Eve edition. Going into a big holiday party weekend, Fancy Brian. You know, most Memorial Day remembrances include a cold beer and some on the grill, probably a brat. How you doing, big guy?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm gonna have 9 fourth graders sleeping over my house Saturday night.
Man, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I mean, the house will be full of laughter, one hopes. Not tears, laughter.
Laughter and joy and wow, insanity. But it'll be great. I'm going to really enjoy it.
Been a long time since I had a little girl slumber party at my house. Years and years, but they're fun. They're fun, you know, as long as there's no boys around.
That happened last year, actually. The neighborhood crush showed up. It was interesting.
That brings a whole new complexion to the sleepover. How you doing, Evan? Here with me at the world headquarters, lightly screening calls while he's pumping his arms. I'm going to take that for a good mood. You know, I've been in a fair to middling mood all week. Best case scenario. And I hate doing gun shows. And you know, this will eventually become a gun show. Oh yeah, there's the gun show. Fancy Brad showing out the guns. I hate doing gun shows. I hate doing mass shooting shows. I hate all of that, you know what. But we cover the headlines here. That is the job we do. And eventually, I got to tell you, this show, like others, will end up being a gun show. I know it will. But that's not exactly where I wanted to lead today. Today, I wanted to lead in a different place. I want to lead with the former president, if you will, and the influence he still is having over the elective cycle, let's say. I don't know if you'd seen it, but there was a guy that quit the Wisconsin Elections Commission yesterday, and he was a Republican appointee. His name was Dean Knudson. And the Elections Commission, they're the ones that make the rules here for elections, or at least they administer the rules. And we used to have this nonpartisan retired judge board called the Government Accountability Board. But they had the, temerity to investigate Scott Walker when he was brazenly coordinating with outside groups and breaking campaign finance laws. Scott Walker, the former governor, the wanker, as I'd like to refer to him as, he was the John Doe in the John Doe investigation. But anyways, he survived. There were no charges leveled, and Scott Walker survived, or at least he survived the John Doe. Not re-election, not every time, because he ain't the governor anymore, but he survived, if you will. Now, the Elections Commission is the newest machination, and it's set up on the model, I would think, of the feckless Federal Elections Commission. The idea being you put 3 Dems, 3 Republicans on, and then everything gets stalemated and nothing meaningful ever really changes, which is the way that Republicans like it, because if they're going to jam through all these elective changes, voter suppressive stuff and all this stuff. And, on the other side of the spectrum, they're going to lie, steal, and cheat in every means necessary. Ends justify the means. So if they got to break a few campaign finance laws, break a little China along the way, well, that's all good. So you got to have a less effective campaign finance board, or, they might actually do something. Well, Donald Trump didn't win the election in the state of Wisconsin. Although, I don't know if you saw, went after, what's her name? Kellyanne Conway today. Kellyanne dropped a book acknowledging that Trump had lost the election. And Trump went after Kellyanne Conway. I thought they were close. I really did. I thought that Kellyanne and Trump were close, but Trump is not a happy man today. Let's go there briefly. Trump rages at Kellyanne Conway and suggests she go back to her crazy husband if she thinks he lost in 2020. I mean, he's still taking this tack. This is still the game you're playing. And those that, right tell alls try to cash out, you appreciate that, right, Trump? You're always trying to cash out. But those that might dare to tell the truth, well, they're to be attacked. Let me read a little bit here. Former President Donald Trump is coming out swinging at longtime loyalist. This is what he does to friends, the loyalist of friends, if they acknowledge the truth that he lost in 2020.
Well, he's historical. They're hysterical.
Oh, yes. Came out swinging at longtime loyalist Kellyanne Conway for claiming in her new book that she told the former president he had legitimately lost the 2020 election. Writing on his Truth Social platform, at least he's been using his own platform more fancy, the twice impeached former one-term president said he wanted nothing to do with his former White House counselor if she thought President Joe Biden was legitimately elected. Kellyanne Conway never told me that she thought we lost the election, Trump fumed. If she had, I wouldn't have dealt with her any longer. She would have been wrong. Could go back to her crazy husband. Trump then posted false claims about the 2020 election and promoted the widely ridiculed new documentary by right-wing activist Dinesh D'Souza about the 2020 election. The election was rigged, Trump falsely claimed. They used COVID to cheat and steal, and the evidence is massive and indisputable. See 2,000 Mules. That's the movie he references, right? So anyways, that sets the tone. This happening in real time. This is where we're at today as a country. Aside from the nearly daily massacres at a school, let's say. But we got the former president of the United States going out and attacking even the most loyal friends. Let's call her a friend. Kellyanne's certainly been a friend to the former. And here in the great state of Wisconsin, we've got Trump loyalist and apparently Trump hitman, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, taken a Republican appointee off the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Fancy Brad, I'm sure you're an informed man. I'm sure you've seen this headline. Let me jump into it a bit. A Republican member of the Wisconsin Elections Commission announced his resignation this week after, and this is the new news, after U.S. Senator Ron Johnson took a rare step in state politics and told a top GOP lawmaker the commissioner had lost support from his own party. Lost support. If they took a vote of confidence, you didn't get it. So keep this in mind. What did he lose support for? Dean Knudson, already under fire from his own party over his refusal to embrace false claims about the 2020 election, said in his announcement that he was leaving his post because members of his party at the highest levels, and it doesn't get much higher than Trump or Ron Johnson, made clear he should not run to be commission chairman, an election that was supposed to take place Wednesday, but was delayed when Knudson resigned. He resigned. Well, there's only two eligible Republicans. It has been Ann Jacobson. She's done an admirable job as the chair, the Democrat, but her turn is up. And now it's a Republican's turn. And there's only two eligible Republicans. The former Trump fraudulent elector, Bob Spindell, who I'm waiting for the charges to come down from the DOJ on. I mean, this man could be taken off in cuffs. And Dean Knudson. But Dean Knudson, the Republican appointee on this panel, well, he's not good enough. This guy was the elections commissioner, the chair of this panel, 18 to 2020. But suddenly he ain't good enough anymore, not for Rojo. So Rojo took him out. A little bit more. A spokeswoman for Johnson told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel on Thursday that the state's senior U.S. senator talked to Assembly Speaker Robin Vos and here's the quote, Fancy, to express his belief that Dean Knudson had lost the confidence of grassroots Republicans in representing their interest on the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Well, 40% of the Republican Party the other day at their convention just down the road in Middleton, state Republicans, 40% of them think and voted to redo the last election, decertify. We're in 2022. The midterms are 4 or 5 months away, and you're relitigating 2020 to this moment. And if the fair and honest Dean Knudson, by all accounts, he is a fair and honest man. And that's what's getting him thrown off the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Now, he left of his own volition. But when you're a Republican, when you're a good soldier, and the senior senator comes and says, I want this guy gone. Well, guess what? You resign. Unlike Republicans that fail to leave in a very fascistic fashion, even when their terms are over. But let me read a little bit more. As the senator, again, this is from Rojo's spokeswoman, Alexa Henning, as the senator has traveled around the state, election integrity continues to be a primary concern of the grassroots. He never suggested that Dean Knudson resign and continues to believe the number one goal regarding election integrity is to restore confidence in our election system for every Wisconsinite, Republican, Democrat, and independent. Well, how are you going to do that when you kick the guy with integrity off the elections committee? In deference for what? Now, Robin Voss, you're on the hot seat, buddy. You're on the clock. Who's your new appointment? Who's the new appointment? Because Bob Spindell was a false Trump elector. And you, Robin Voss, you're barely surviving as the party speaker. I mean, they had a vote of no confidence on your ass. So who are you putting in next? Who's the next Wisconsin Elections Commissioner? And this has been my greatest fear, is good people like Dean Knudson, by all accounts. You could be good and a Republican, but good people like Knudson are getting run out on a rail. And who in the hell in their right mind, what sort of civic-minded good person wants to go serve on a board chaired by a false Trump elector or get targeted by a U.S. senator, for telling the truth? Come back. Devil's advocates. Tell you the truth. It's a Thursday, but I wish it was a Friday.
This election was rigged. This election is a total fraud.
No, I'm not going to join a cult.
Run away!
Courage.
I'm just texting him back. I'm just posting a story. I'm just changing the song.
No. When it comes to distracted driving, just don't. Sending a text takes your eyes off the road for just 5 seconds, but in that time, your car can travel the length of an entire football field. Any distracted driving just isn't worth it.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
I am not Alex Jones,
but you play him on the radio.
And we are back. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you don't call us right now in this last segment at 844-967-2789, you're a filthy communist and you are supporting the enemy.
That's a reasonable impersonation of Alex.
All right.
But, I got to work on it.
You lack the proper intensity. It's got to be more angry.
I need to be a little bit closer to a heart attack.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Date night at the movies.
I got popcorn. Shh. Sorry. And some candy.
Getting back to the moments we miss.
Shush.
Starts with getting informed. Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Yeah.
Malarkey. The devil's advocates invented malarkey.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Fancy you dropping the vital? I feel like I hear the needle on the record.
Oh yeah,
man.
that's definitely an effect for sure.
Excellent effect. Devil's Advocates. We're going to talk a little bit more about U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, and he's taking out the Wisconsin Elections Commissioner. And those of you that heard the local ads here, the Ron Johnson from the People for People Corporation. And what was Ron doing in that little ad, that little sound snippet? He and Paul Ryan little Paul Ryan saying, Joe Biden won, and then a little Ron Johnson doing the math at a Republican Party event and saying if Republicans had voted for Trump, like they voted for Republican Assembly candidates in the state of Wisconsin, well, guess what? Trump would have won. So Ron Johnson laid out the math and basically said Trump lost. And let me show you why. Yet Ron Johnson is currently pressuring, taking out a Wisconsin elections commissioner because he does not properly reflect the fringer grassroots of the state party, which thinks that, we should decertify the last election, which the very guy that appointed Dean Knudson said is impossible. Hell, even attorney James Bopp, who's been up to his eyeballs in all of this crap. I mean, that's Marjorie Taylor Greene's lawyer. Even Bopp said, you can't overturn the last election, guys. But we still got a Gableman investigation that was inspired by Donald Trump pressuring the Assembly Speaker, Robin Vos. And now Robin Vos's appointee on this panel is out. Now, he resigned. Let me give you the quote. He's claiming it wasn't under pressure, but just listen closely. Knudson said Thursday he was resigning because he thought it was in the best interest of the state and the Republican Party, and he did not feel pressure to leave. See if his words reflect that. Listen, a couple paragraphs. I would not be pressured out, and I wasn't pressured out. I left because I just felt like at this point, Republicans deserve to have someone that can effectively represent them. And I'd gotten to the point that I didn't feel like that could happen. Knudson stunned his colleagues with his resignation and said he had been effectively excommunicated from his party because he refused to dispute President Joe Biden's 2020 victory over Donald Trump. Excommunication. He said he was leaving the commission because I cannot be effective in my role representing Republicans on the commission. How about representing Wisconsinites, Dean? If not you, then who? It's chaos after Knudson. It's been made clear to now. Here's the pressuring part. Like, I didn't feel pressure, but let me tell you who pressured me. It's been made clear to me from the highest levels of the Republican Party, and by that he means Ron Johnson, he means Rojo, in Wisconsin, that there was a deep desire that I not be chair. And that's fine, Knudson said. He said he was not pressured by Vos, who appointed him to the commission, and we'll get to select his replacement. Can't wait for that fine candidate. Knudson's announced departure pushed the commissioners to delay the election of their next chair. Knudson and Republican commissioner and fraudulent Trump elector Bob Spindell are the only eligible commissioners to be elected chairman for the next 2 years because of state rules requiring Republican and Democratic members to take turns being chair. Following Knudson's resignation, commissioners voted 5-1 to delay a vote to choose the next chair in June. Who's the one? Who's the one? Oh, I bet it's Spindell. He's often the one. In like a 5-1, he's the one. Spindell, who in 2020 posed as now they say presidential elector for Trump. I would describe it in more criminal terms because to my perception, it might be, said Thursday the meeting made clear to him that the Democratic members of the commission are not going to support him as chairman. No, they're not, nor should they. Vos, who appointed Knudson to the commission in 2017, told the Associated Press on Thursday he does not have a litmus test for whom will he will choose to replace Knudson. You know what? The first text when this story was broken to me by my little buddy Dominic, Gableman's next job. Gableman got something to look forward to.
I don't know.
Can you imagine
the
guy
per diem's kind of low?
What's that?
The per diem's kind of low compared to what Gableman would want to be paid.
Well, he did say that he's got absolutely no idea how elections are administered here in the state of Wisconsin. So in Republicans' mind, he's perfectly qualified. Voss said he would not rule anyone out, including, wait for it, including former Supreme Court Justice Michael Gableman, whom he hired in 2021 to review the 2020 election and continues to pay thousands of taxpayer dollars per month, despite failing to produce evidence of foul play or damn near anything else. But here's something encouraging. State Senator Kathy Bernier, a former Chippewa County election clerk who leads the Senate Selection Committee, is not seeking re-election. And she called Voss Wednesday night to express her interest in being appointed to the commission. Now, she's gone head-to-head with Gableman because she lives in reality and she's not trying to, throw some red meat to Trump. It would make the Trumpians absolutely go out of their minds, which would be fun, said Bernier, who has received even more criticism than Knudson from members of her party for refusing to embrace Trump's election distortions and being an outspoken critic of Gableman. Got a little bit of time left. I'm going to read you a quote. There is no one that knows and understands the election laws and elections procedures like I do. I have a knowledge base that would be helpful. I would serve, but everything right now is hyper political. And every decision that has been made in the last year and a half, 2 years, has been purely political. And so I would not make it a good political choice. Joe Sanfilippo, Republican, he's been on the show a couple times, said, I didn't realize Dean was even thinking about resigning, but the rest of them should all resign too. Well, Joe Sanfilippo, you're not running for re-election, so at least you're setting the example. Come back, more devil's advocates. Always set the fine example. I am your role model.
So you get nothing. You lose.
If you're not happy here, you can leave.
Good day, sir.
You can leave right now.
Well, I don't know him or you. I think it's time that all of you left.
You know what? I'll tell you something. There's nothing better than a hot sausage, couple 2-3 cold beers, and Devil Radio in a box.
This is Pat Slattery of Slattery's Automotive Service in Verona. Established in 1973, I've been servicing and repairing cars in the Madison community for nearly 50 years. You can trust me to tell you what your car really needs and fix it right the first time. Give me a call at 608-848-6123 to schedule an appointment today. Slattery's Automotive Service, your trusted choice for local service and repairs for all your automotive needs.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio app.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. Stocks finished higher. The Dow up 516 points. The WHO says coronavirus case and death numbers are dropping.
The UN Health Agency says there were more than 3.7 million new COVID-19 infections around the world last week and 9,000 deaths from the virus. But those represented drops, 3% and 11% respectively. New COVID-19 cases rose in only 2 regions, the Americas and the Western Pacific. COVID-19 deaths increased by 30% in the Middle East, but were stable or decreased everywhere else. China, meanwhile, is vowing to stick to a zero COVID policy, despite the WHO's description of that policy as unsustainable, given the infectious nature of Omicron and its subvariants. I'm Ben Thomas.
The coronavirus mutant that is now dominant in the U.S. is a member of the Omicron family. Scientists say it spreads faster than predecessors, is adept at escaping immunity, and might possibly cause more serious disease. I'm Ed Donahue.
Finding great candidates to
hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I know it's technically still spring, but summertime has arrived over at Kohl's. I shopped their Hello Summer sale and got 40% off patio furniture, 50% off a few outdoor dining essentials, found a cute bikini top for under $20, and because I spent over $25, I got $10 off. Plus, I earned Kohl's cash. So if you want more style, more savings, and more sunshine, you know where to go. Select styles, offers end May 30th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Shootings.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. State and federal investigators are looking into the state-run Veterans Home in Union Grove, Wisconsin for recent violations, including failure to investigate reports of abuse, not giving residents regular showers, and more, according to the Wisconsin Department of Health Services and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. State workers say the facility faced a staffing problem before the COVID-19 pandemic that has only been exacerbated over the past 2 years. At a news conference on Wednesday, Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul announced the state's Justice Department has a new software program that allows sexual assault survivors to track evidence collected in their case. The program provides updates on where the sexual assault kit is from medical facilities, law enforcement agencies, and the state crime lab. Attorney General Kaul has been working to reduce and eliminate the backlog of sexual assault kits since being elected in 2018. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
I don't know if you know the Devil's Advocates, but the show is kind of a big deal.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday Eve edition. Dominic joining soon. You can join right now. Right now. 844-967-2789. Fancy Brian, we're going to turn our attention momentarily to Mark Meadows. Apparently, reportedly, burden evidence in the White House. So we got that to look forward to. I'll tell you about it. But I want to get back to a couple of final thoughts from outgoing Wisconsin Elections Commissioner Dean Knudson, understanding he's a Republican that resigned under pressure because U.S. Senator Ron Johnson wanted him out. Now, Rojo knows the truth. Rojo knows that Trump lost. But, you know, he's gone and talked to the grassroots, and they're highly engaged in this fiction. Let's call it this fiction, the big lie. It's engaging to the base. So if you want to keep churning up the engagement levels of the base, you got to keep feeding the monster. You know, it gets hangry. So anyways, here's Knudson's parting thoughts. As he did at Wednesday's meeting, Knudson said Republicans need to shift their focus away from the 2020 presidential and accept that Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump in Wisconsin. They risk losing contests this fall if they don't, he said. Here's a direct quote. It needs to be emphasized that our elections are fair and clean and trustworthy, Knudson said. Our voter lists are the cleanest they've ever been. Machines are accurate. There's no evidence that election fraud is the reason Trump lost Wisconsin. You know, you should tell him, go listen to the tape. Ron Johnson said it. And that's not for lack of looking. So it's time for my party to pivot towards the future and the issues that are facing Wisconsin families and leave behind all the focus on conspiracy theories. One of the only ways that Republicans can lose in close districts in the coming elections will be if they've demonstrated to voters that they have a refusal to accept that painful truth that Trump lost the election in 2020. No wonder he's out on his ass. You should be with that attitude. A little bit more. Recounts, court rulings, and independent reviews have found the 2020 election was conducted properly. A vocal contingent, oh, they're vocal, but you can't say a minority contingent. A vocal contingent of Republicans have disagreed with those findings. which Knudson attributed to a series of lies about the election, including ones from attorneys aligned with Trump. It's a bottom-up phenomenon. So it started with individuals like Sidney Powell, Lynn Wood, Mike Lindell, moving up to Rudy Giuliani, then ever closer advisors to the president, with their fervent belief in what I think we all know now were wild conspiracy theories about data servers in Europe and Venezuelan involvement in election machine companies. But when someone that you've always trusted in the past come to respect and trust their word tells you something, it's human nature to believe it. And then when the next person tells it, you believe it anymore, even more. And as it worked all the people to the top, they continue to be repeated. It's very hard now for some people to accept that. And what they've been told over and over by people they've always trusted is not, in fact, accurate. There ends up being cognitive dissonance there. That makes it very difficult to accept that. Knudson put his emphasis on Trump's advisors rather than Trump, who has poured his energy into lies about the election. Asked if he thought Trump shouldered most of the blame for the false beliefs about the election, Knudson said, I think Republican candidates, at this point, I count him as a candidate. My advice to them is pivot and stop talking about conspiracy theories. See if there's more you need to know here. Knudson declined to say what he thought of Gableman's work, but praised Voss for standing up to the GOP base by saying the election cannot be decertified. He displays a measure of political courage that is a rare commodity in politics, is it? Well, certainly amongst Republicans. 844, and I would hardly call it courage. I mean, he did hire Gableman, and he did, basically accept your resignation, right? And if he were to put Gableman on this position, what they are effectively doing, folks, they're trying to chase all the other good people out as well. Because people would be so outraged. Kathy Berdner, the former outgoing state senator, Republican. Well, I'd go through the roof if they appointed Gableman. Well, so would everyone. But if they put a complete partisan hack, in addition to partisan hack Bob Spindell on this board, man, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of the good Dems running for the exits. And then who's left to serve? Which was their idea the whole time. You push all the good people out. Trump claims he always hired the best people. Of course, we know that's not the case. He was down to the DEF list by the end of his presidency. So, anyways, that's my thought. Fancy, you had one?
I had one and it's gone.
Ah, damn it. They're fleeting sometimes. 844-967-2789. Bill, I hope you remember your thought. How's it going in Oconomowoc, my friend?
Oh, I've got something you're going to love. This afternoon, Jeff Wagner, who I can't even believe anybody is that ridiculous, was shocked, aghast to think the RNC wasn't welcomed in Milwaukee. He can't figure that out. Now, he didn't let me on the air because he knows who I am. But my comment would be, if you burn down my house, I'm not inviting you for a party. And I just can't believe that guy. They're so ignorant. They're shocked. Why would we want the RNC in Wisconsin? Well, guys, you gutted our state. Hello? You really think we want you? He doesn't get it.
Bill, I don't get it either, because I agree with Jeff Wagner. I'm not going to say I would be shocked. I can understand the appetite to welcome and Wisconsinize the Republican Party for their convention. I can understand why the common person would find that an appalling thought. But I mean, Bill, that's a lot of money to take out of the pocket of small business owners in Milwaukee. You're talking about a $200 million commerce event. And I can understand from a civic, a profile perspective, man. I've been to the RNC, I've been to the DNC. It's just a big party, Bill. We may not represent what they represent, but really what's coming to town is just an excuse to spend a lot of money. Bill, take the money. That would be my thought, sir.
Can you hear me yet?
I can. I didn't cut you off.
Okay.
I will soon, good. But not yet, Bill. Go ahead.
No. I do understand what you're saying. You've got a lot of validity in what you're saying, the other side of the, fence. I understand that. I really do. but it's like, if you're just adverse to what I do and my mere existence, I don't know if I don't know if I'm making sense, but I hope I am, because they've ticked off so many people. They don't even have credibility.
Bill, what's the easiest way to express that? I would say in some way, shape, or form, it's the way that Beto O'Rourke did yesterday in Texas to Greg Abbott, right? Got right up in his face at a press conference. Well, I tell you what, it's either Milwaukee or it's Nashville. And I'm going to the party either way, Bill. I'll take you on the radio with me, my friend. But, maybe selfishly, maybe it's lack of a DNC, but I'd love to see the Commerce come to Milwaukee. And quite frankly, if you don't like the Republican Party, maybe I differ from you, Bill, but I would invite that guy over to my house. And if I felt he deserved it, I'd rhetorically punch him right in the nose. Know what I'm saying? It's hard to punch him all the way to Nashville.
You keep the bar very high in integrity, and I thank you for that.
Well, I'm just saying, come on, man. If the Republicans want to dump $200 million in my city, yeah, I don't own Milwaukee. I don't live there, but we do business there, Bill, and we believe in the people of the city of Milwaukee. And you know what? I can support the people, still cash those Republican checks, and still feel like I feel and say it to their face because they're coming to my town, and I can go talk trash right up to their faces, man. See, I'm all down for talking trash face to face.
Maybe I should look in and see if I can get a ticket to the event if they do come.
They will be at a premium, Bill. Big show and all.
Whatever. I would give a lot. I would give a lot to speak my mind to them, but I would be courteous. I wouldn't swear. I wouldn't call names. I wouldn't point fingers, and I wouldn't raise my voice.
Well, what fun is that, Bill? Technically, Dom and I were in the room in Cleveland when Trump accepted the nomination. And it was a dark day. And I got to tell you, man, Cleveland was disappointed in the financial upside of hosting the convention. And I do think, Bill, in some weird way, I think the Republicans will put the convention in Milwaukee unless, the Common Council kills it. Because I think to their opinion, all they're really left with is trolling the libs. They don't have governance policy anymore. And they're done trying to win your votes. They're more likely to try and suppress your votes. But the Republicans, the ultimate, troll the libs would be to have the RNC in the same place that Joe Biden never came to for the DNC. And the reason that Joe Biden came here or was supposed to come here, the DNC was supposed to be in Milwaukee in 2020, is because Milwaukee is such a pivotal swing state, or at least it reflects the largest population in a pivotal swing state. And the knock on the state of Wisconsin after 2016 is, quite frankly, Black people didn't turn out to vote for Hillary Clinton. And, ultimately, if you look into the voting dynamics, it didn't get a hell of a lot better. I mean, Joe Biden won by the skin of his teeth, 21,000 votes in a state of 5.8 million people. That's pretty damn close. I'd like to think more than that listening to me today. So anyways, my thought is take their money, talk trash to their face, and then kick their asses in the fall. That's just my plan. 844-967-2789. Jeannie from Madison, or Jean, welcome. What do you got for us?
From Eau Claire.
Well, I know you are. He always puts Madison these days.
Hey, I gotta tell you, I'm really glad the parasitic troublemakers are not coming to our state. They've caused enough fraud and abuse of the people in our state that
at this point, we don't know if the parasitic troublemakers are coming or not, Jeannie.
Man, that's all we need is more liars and troublemakers in our state. They'll probably gum up some stuff and then say, oh, yeah, the governor didn't protect us enough. I just can see those scumbags. And I'm sorry to be so rude, but God dang it, this is just outrageous. This crime and criminal activity, I'm not going to cuss, but it's very hard not to. They're scum of the earth. And the way that they pull this crap with that Gableman, who should lose a goddamn law license, who shouldn't even step foot in our capital and get any of our taxpayer money. And then that other guy who committed fraud shouldn't even be on that elections board. And good for Kathy Bernier. I'm proud of her. I mean, that woman, you know, her and I don't think the same on a lot of issues, but she saw the light. She didn't know how bad these people were until she saw them in action. And more Republicans that see how scumbag lying these people are. These are not the Republicans of old. These are really sick and traitorous and villainous and ripoffs. I'm sorry to go so nasty today,
but Jeannie, you realize I believe you got WOGO in Eau Claire and you got WMEQ, something like that in Eau Claire. You realize the host on those respective radio stations in the Eau Claire market, certainly Dan O'Donnell in the Milwaukee market, they're all telling the same lie, Gene. Do you blame the people for believing their trusted sources when their trusted sources are lying to their faces?
No. We need some honest people in our area someday. We hope that maybe someday we'll get something like you guys in our area and we will be blessed. So you guys have a really good weekend, and thank you so much for the work that you do. I appreciate you so much.
Well, love you back, Jeannie. Thank you for listening. I keep saying every time Jeannie from Madison/Eau Claire calls, if you get the Devil Radio app, you can listen to us everywhere. You know, yesterday, 19 states, 4 countries represented when I looked at my little map. And if I don't see a little pinprick on your hometown, I know you're not listening. I'm watching you.
What have they got that I ain't got? Courage. You could say that again.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much, but it does. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Hey, I'm Haley Kiyoko, and I know what it's like to struggle with mental health issues. If you have a friend that's going through a tough time, now is the perfect moment to reach out. Learn how to start the conversation at seizetheawkward.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
My fine guest, Maggie Dawn, attorney at law. I thought that the laws of the United States were supposed to evolve with societal norms. The vast majority of Americans, 70% approximately, believe that Roe v. Wade should be the law of the land. So that seems exactly contrary to the way the courts are supposed to evolve with our nation.
I'll just say this. The guy in Colorado can't be forced to make a gay wedding cake, but I can be forced to make a baby. I don't know about you, but that makes no damn sense to me.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstead of the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I'm excited to announce our new beer, AOC IPA. This IPA pays homage to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a champion of the progressive movement. AOC IPA is now available in stores throughout Wisconsin. Check our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to see which stores in your area are carrying it.
You love them enough to do anything for them.
Dad, can we make 200 cookies for my bake sale tomorrow?
Let's do this. Including checking nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Fancy Brian, I don't even know what you're laughing about, but you got me grinning, man.
Always on the run.
844-967-2789. Todd or Billy calling from the north side. Welcome back, Todd or Billy. What do you got?
Hey, two things. First of all, do you blame folks who believe their trusted sources? I think I do. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. When these folks are lying again and again and again, I do blame the voters. I do blame the listeners for falling for it.
But it's confirmation bias, really Todd or Billy. I mean, if you were a Donald Trump supporter, and Donald Trump's been lying since a year before the election, oh, it's going to be rigged. Watch them. They're going to rig it. And then sure enough, it was rigged. And you believe, and you've twisted your logic somehow that this guy's the right guy. And well, your guy lost. It's like when the Packers lose the NFC championship game every year. We hear the excuses. And then ultimately, the guy tells you, well, we didn't lose. We was robbed. Well, if you was robbed, then you don't have to admit that you backed a loser, Todd or Billy. You know what I mean? And I don't really, really believe that, all these self-avowed big lie believers really, really believe, because we look at how engaged they are and how they say, we're going to go vote in the next election because we got screwed and it was rigged on the last election. You understand the logic doesn't always carry through. It doesn't make much sense.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying is I blame them for not being able to maintain logic. I mean, to me, that's unacceptable. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up is, I understand both sides about having the RNC in Milwaukee. So I guess the question I ask is, do you want an RNC in Milwaukee? Do you want them to spend the money? Yeah. Do you want to unite the right rally, a Charlottesville rally in your city? I don't think you do. And what's the difference at this point between the RNC and something like that? So I'm
mostly
not sure
it's tiki torches. It's mostly tiki torches. And they had warned us that the RNC in Cleveland, they told us, and we brought gas masks. We went to an Army surplus store because they said it could get really ugly, really violent, whatever. There's going to be conflict. Well, most of the conflict we saw was between Alex Jones and the Westboro Baptist Church. The people of Cleveland really didn't want any part in conflict with these people. They had a park. They were out there, marching around, carrying their guns, doing whatever they wanted to do, Todd or Billy. But you know what else? They were filling up every hotel room for miles. We ended up staying out in nowhere land where you actually paid the hotel room through the bulletproof glass. That's all that was left for, little old radio hosts like us. But, Todd or Billy, I can understand the sentiment of those for ideological reasons. I wouldn't invite the Republican Party in its current state over to my house either. But, if they're coming down the block and dropping $200 million on the road, and I don't have to really see them, okay, I'll take the money. That's my thought.
Yeah, and I can see both sides. It's just, when have they crossed that line of, just an unsavory group that you just don't want to be promoting themselves in your community? Regardless.
Well, they crossed that line in 2010 when Scott Walker got elected, Todd or Billy.
I suppose so.
That's when they stopped being congenial neighbors. Scott Walker is the one here in the state of Wisconsin, to my opinion. He's the one that turned neighbor against neighbor, man. I never felt that way about anybody prior to 2010. I had my resistance to the Iraq war, and there were some national policies that, I didn't believe in. And perhaps I took an unpopular position once in a while down at the workplace. But I tell you what, man, neighbors never hated neighbors, Todd or Billy, until Scott Walker was the governor and turned people against each other.
Well, if they come, I hope it mobilizes Democrats and gets us as excited as it gets the Republicans and then some.
Well, otherwise, I'll get on the bus. I'll go to Nashville, man. I'll tell you how it was.
All right. Thanks. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. They're having the party with or without us, people. That's my point. Why wouldn't we want the revenue? Even if we don't want them as house guests, at least they're dropping big piles of money on the carpet. And Ted Cruz. So it's a trade-off, but $200 million, but they're going to bring Ted Cruz. No wonder why people are so torn.
Can I think about it?
You would need to. You would need to. You know what I'm doing this weekend, Fancy Brian?
No.
Let me tell you. I am Tom Sawyer this weekend.
Oh, really?
I'm painting my house.
Oh,
I've never taken on a project quite as
are you gonna
daunting.
You're gonna whitewash it?
No. My wife picked out the color. I don't have any say. It wouldn't be white. I know that would take multiple coats because our house is sort of an ugly blue now, and it's getting a little sun faded. And we've lived there going on a decade now. Trying to be good neighbors and all. Called the landscaper, said maybe someone else could do something about the front, but I have one skill in life. I'm not clever. I can barely talk aloud. I try to do it on the radio nearly every day, but sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. But I'm a decent painter. And I know there are professional painters like union guys and guys that, glazers, like paint big ass, think like Camp Randall Stadium, American Family Field. Somebody painted that thing, or at least, rust proofed it. But I can paint, like a straight line, maybe an edge. But I'm trying to figure out, how do you get the kids involved? How do I make this an activity that I Tom Sawyer them into believing is something they want to be a part of? And my two bright ideas, Fancy Brian, I'm going to A to Z Rental tomorrow afternoon, technically, before the weekend. No live show for yours truly tomorrow. I don't know if Tom's doing one, but I'm out of here because I got to prepare the house. And I got to see if I can fool a couple of teenagers into believing that power washing with a little scraping on the side, man, is this fun? You can, man. You can't do this.
It is fun. It's very satisfying too.
The power
Very,
washing.
Oh yeah, it's
I think I could get some power washer helpers. Maybe.
I've been trying to justify getting a power washer since I owned a house.
I had a power washer, but here's the troubling part for me, not being clever or any of that stuff. The oil gas mixture, like you had to have the oil gas. Oh man, I forget the ratios. I don't want to pull out the manual. Then I'm worried I'm going to burn the bad boy up and then it won't start. And so I sold my power washer to one of the guys I worked with for like $150. I'll probably spend that much this weekend renting a power washer. But then I was thinking, I'm going that route, man. What about one of those power spray painters? I'll paint the whole neighborhood, baby. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. Tom joins next.
Fool me once, shame on.
To launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq. Of Ukraine.
You fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Believe me.
Summer is now, and it's not too late to make your backyard an oasis. Go Landscaping can create a sanctuary from the world right in your backyard. Stone fireplaces, stone patio, outdoor kitchens, stone is their passion. Hardworking and professional, call Cody. Their dry stone certified mason will help you design and realize your dream this summer. Call Gold Landscaping today at 608-807-9245. Stop dreaming and go love your yard.
Over the past 30 years, Chad's Design Build has grown and improved how we do things, but we've never lost sight of our commitment to be a great place to work, focused on quality renovations for outstanding clients. Paying a living wage and providing excellent benefits to promote work-life balance does in fact attract outstanding people, which helps to explain our stellar reputation. Thank you, Madison, for 30 amazing years, building a better world one remodeled home at a time. This is Chad Spate for Chad's Design Build.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. The White House says President Biden will travel to Uvalde, Texas, Sunday. Police say the gunman was inside Robb Elementary School in Uvalde for more than an hour before being killed by officers. 19 children and 2 adults were killed. Victor Escalon with the Texas Department of Public Safety says the door the gunman tried to enter the school in was unlocked. Also,
there was not an officer readily available armed.
Escalon says there will be an investigation into how long it took for law enforcement to go in. Javier Cazares' daughter was killed. He was watching the police response.
They were there without proper equipment. I saw they're
15, 20 minutes later, they came with their shields. Like, that should have been in their cars, going in, not waiting 30, 45 minutes to get in.
An attempt by Democrats to start debate on gun safety was rejected in the Senate by Republicans. West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin says,
protect your children and your grandchildren and not want to step to something reasonable and quit thinking about the politics and can you get elected, you're going to lose votes. This is about basically protecting children. If they can't rise to that, they ought to deep dig inside and find out why in the heck we're here.
The National Rifle Association begins its annual convention in Houston tomorrow. The NRA says attendees will reflect on the Uvalde school shooting, pray for the victims, recognize patriotic members, and pledge to redouble commitment to making schools secure. The government says the economy shrank in the first 3 months of the year, but consumers and businesses kept spending at a solid pace. The Dow gained 516 points. A federal appeals court is ordering former President Donald Trump to answer questions under oath in the New York Attorney General's civil investigation into his business practices. A jury convicted a New Hampshire man of first-degree murder for killing his wife's co-worker after he discovered they were texting and then forcing her to behead him. This is AP News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I know it's technically still spring, but summertime has arrived over at Kohl's. I shopped their Hello Summer sale and got 40% off patio furniture, 50% off a few outdoor dining essentials, found a cute bikini top for under $20, and because I spent over $25, I got $10 off. Plus, I earned Kohl's cash. So if you want more style, more savings, and more sunshine, you know where to go. Select styles, offers end May 30th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Devil Radio, your fix for progressive news talk from Verona to Sun Prairie. Always streaming at DARNWI.com.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
The greatest radio show ever could be your greatest advertising investment ever. Partner with the Devil's Advocates and activate our loyal, educated, engaged audience today. In-show interviews and sponsored special events considered across Wisconsin. Affordable digital and terrestrial ads available in Chicago and Minneapolis and directly on the Devil Radio app. Make a deal with the Devils and get the Devil's Advocates bumped to your bottom line. Call or text 844-967-2789 today. Listen to your favorite political talkers no matter where you are. 92.7 FM in Madison and Eastern Dade County. 1580 AM Columbus, north of Madison, and for daytime east-west commutes on I-94. 101 FM in the Shaw, and 540 AM covering eastern Wisconsin all day and covering the Milwaukee Metro, the Wild Counties, Racine, and Kenosha 24/7. Download the free Devil Radio app for your smartphone and take both stations with you everywhere. No excuses, just listen.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio app.
From Portage to Watertown, Devil Radio on WTTN 1580 AM is essential radio to get you through your day.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. According to Wisconsin Watch, 12 former and current employees have come forward to share longstanding complaints that the Dane County Medical Examiner's Office is a, quote, toxic work environment, and that concerns have not been fixed by top county officials. The new chair of the Dane County Board, Patrick Miles, has said the board will investigate the reporting system that kept employees from sharing complaints out of fear for retaliation. On Wednesday, Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Janet Protaskowitz announced her candidacy for the Wisconsin State Supreme Court next spring. rank. Conservative Justice Patience Rogansack announced she will not be seeking re-election in 2023, creating an open seat next spring that is expected to have numerous candidates vying for. Cloudy skies expected this morning with afternoon thunderstorms rolling in and an 80% chance for rain. The high today is 71 degrees. Thunderstorms expected to continue this evening with the winds up to 10 miles an hour and an overnight low of 54 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, a Thursday that I wish was a Friday, because we're going into a 4-day holiday weekend. Dominic, I welcome you to the airwaves. How you doing, my little buddy?
I'm good, man. Thursday, I wish was a Saturday, but good to see you, Fancy Brian, Evan, our fair audience. It's a Friday. We're not doing a live show tomorrow, so we'll just call it Friday. It's been a long week, folks.
Friday for us.
A Friday for everybody. Everybody gets a Friday today.
You can all be a part of the Friday show. Air some early grievances if you wanted. 844-967-2789. I got an early grievance, Dominic. U.S. Senate vote today, procedural vote. All Senate Republicans on Thursday blocked a bill designed to combat domestic terrorism. Well, why would we want to monitor
right. Everything's
terrorism?
Fine. Everything's fine.
Dominic, the vote comes as, according to CNN, as lawmakers are under intense pressure to take action in the wake of multiple recent episodes of horrific gun violence. And the final tally of the vote was 47-47. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer changed his vote from an aye to a no at the end of the procedural move so he could bring the bill back up again in the future if he chooses. Now, the bill passed the Democratic-controlled House last week following a tragic mass shooting at the supermarket. Oh, that was last week's news.
Yeah. Oh, why you gotta live in the past?
A mass shooting at a supermarket in a predominantly black neighborhood in Buffalo, New York. But Republicans have pushed back against the measure put forward by Democrats, describing it as partisan. And of course, unnecessary. At least 10. You'll never get 10. 10 Senate Republicans would have needed to vote with Democrats to overcome the filibuster. You didn't have a single freaking courageous Republican in the entire U.S. Senate. You know, the only guy that did vote to move this legislation forward, at least on the House side, Adam Kinzinger. And Adam is retiring, or at least not running for re-election. One freaking Republican with some sort of character. It's a small number. 844-967-2789. We'll pull in some of your calls right now. People jumping on right away. Bob from Waukesha. Welcome, Bob. Calling from the Shaw. What do you got for us?
Hey, Bob.
You know, I can't believe these Republicans, don't they have grandchildren? Don't they have children that are in school?
Private school outside of D.C. somewhere. Arlington, Virginia, perhaps. Probably gated.
Yeah, but I bet you shooters make their way into private schools too. But the thing is, the only way we're ever going to get some kind of gun control is if we vote these people out of office.
Yep.
I mean, I called my Congressman Fitzgerald, which I knew it was a waste of my time, but I did it anyways. I sent an email to Robin's boss. These people, I know they're not going to do anything. This is going to be another shooting. It's a couple of weeks. It'll be all over with and nothing will be done. And it is our government right now with the Republicans. That party is just a disgrace. They're like organized crime, only they don't kill people. They have other people do it.
Well, they just permit it to happen, for the benefit of their campaign war chest, so they can stay in power and never actually get anything done. Bob, any other thoughts, man?
The answer, they came up with an answer, armed teachers. Now picture this scenario. A shooter comes into the school. Over the PA system, they warn the teachers and the students. So this classroom, the teacher tells the students hit the floor. She puts on her Kevlar vest, her combat helmet, and her AR-15, slips a magazine in, chambers around, and goes out to combat. Is this asinine or what?
I've had a few teachers that I would not have trusted in that scenario to be safe and warrior-like. Although, you know what, Bob, and appreciate your call, sir. There were parents outside that school in Texas yesterday. Dom, we talked about this before we came on the air together.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not heard the story yet, the response by the police seemingly, and I hate to judge, it's only been a day, but entirely inadequate and way too late. I mean, most of the shooting, my understanding, happened in the first hour, but the cops didn't even go in the school for well over an hour from the first 911 calls.
And so this information has been contradictory, right? And when we talked yesterday, the reporting was that the shooter was engaged prior to getting into the school. So, waking up this morning and seeing these videos of parents is freaking out outside the police line, and justifiably so. And again, we don't know the context necessarily, but Joaquin Castro, a congressman from Texas, did send a letter to the FBI today, expressing his concerns in this regard to Director Wray. Today, our nation and the state of Texas mourns the 19 children and 2 teachers murdered at Robb Elementary School. The shooting is the deadliest school shooting in Texas and one of the deadliest to take place in the United States. The incident has devastated Uvalde and the surrounding community, which includes my city of San Antonio. San Antonio hospitals receive patients who were critically injured in the shooting, and our school counselors, law enforcement officers, health care workers, and other personnel are in Uvalde to help our neighbors respond to this horrifying tragedy. The nation deserves an accurate account of what transpired. However, state officials have provided conflicting accounts that are at odds with those provided by witnesses, including bullet point number 1, whether the school security officer and the gunman exchanged fire outside the school, and how long law enforcement officers were in adjoining classrooms while the gunman barricaded himself in a classroom with students and teachers. Moreover, a block of time between 11:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. local time has yet to be fully accounted for. Onlookers allege that parents unsuccessfully urged law enforcement to enter the building during this time and confront the shooter. I urge the FBI to use its maximum authority to thoroughly examine the timeline of events and the law enforcement response and produce a full, timely, and transparent report on your findings. Your agency must ensure that the American people have a complete and comprehensive account of how this tragedy occurred. Thank you for your diligent work. Respectfully, Joaquin Castro, member of Congress. And some of the interviews today, the press conferences with the police officers and the press, a little confrontational. Again, contradictory information. Why do we not have some of these most basic details? And I want to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm not there.
The governor was lying, and the governor was putting his political spin on it before he ran off to a fundraiser for his reelective campaign, Greg Abbott. Now, the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer had a few things to say today. I think this would be a timely time to play cut number 1, if you'd be so kind, Fancy Brian.
How dare he?
Yeah,
what an absolute fraud the governor of Texas is. And this is the same Governor Abbott who tomorrow will go speak at the NRA convention in Houston.
Yeah, let's not forget Abbott's next big public event will be at the NRA convention. So don't be shocked if Abbott put the good guy hero cop spin on it. And ultimately, it was what? It was border agents. But the local SWAT team waited for like an hour for border agents to show up and join their tactical team before they went in and they dispatched the shooter, who locked himself in a classroom with 2 teachers and 19 kids. And they all ended up dead. A little bit more from Chuck Schumer, cut number 2.
And these families, my colleagues, don't want thoughts and prayers. They want their elected leaders to respond to their suffering. They don't want to be lifted up. They don't want good intentions. They want something to change. They want results.
One more from Chuck Schumer, please, talking about MAGA Republicans.
The MAGA Republicans don't want to get to results. They're ossified in their opposition to any action on gun safety. No matter the cause of violence and no matter the cost on the families, nothing seems to move them.
Nothing seems to move them. One more soundbite I'd like to play before we go to break. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson from the state of Wisconsin asked today, would he be for common sense, universal background checks, all gun purchases? His response, cut 5, please.
The majority of Americans support expanding background checks. Why don't you support it?
We have background checks. What we got to do is enforce what laws we have in the books.
So he's a no. Will you do anything, Senator? No. No, there's laws. But if the laws don't have the effect we seek, Senator, and if people continue to perpetrate this mass carnage, well, the freaking laws aren't effective, Ron, and it's time to step up. You know, you're a legislator.
Right,
man,
dude.
go write some freaking legislation.
He knows how to write legislation. He wrote the legislation and supported the legislation to give him and many others huge tax breaks. Remember that? There were laws on the books regarding taxes, and he thought maybe those laws were ineffective and wanted to change them. So what did he do? They got some legislation and they rammed it through and they changed the laws. Why is this any different?
Well, Ron Johnson took campaign donations just under $1.3 million from the National Rifle Association. Come back with us. You wonder why they are inactive on certain topics. Bought and paid for it. Pretty cheap. Come back. More Devils. 844-967-2789. We see you, callers. We'll go there soon.
I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon. Do it now.
Hey, I'm Haley Kiyoko, and I know what it's like to struggle with mental health issues. If you have a friend that's going through a tough time, now is the perfect moment to reach out. Learn how to start the conversation at seizetheawkward.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the JED Foundation.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The radio show your mother warned you about.
Actual tyranny of a dictator. Dictator is going to dictate Putin. And what did Trump do? Trump kneeled to the man. Embarrassing Republicans. And you're still with the guy. This is your front runner in 2024. Are you even smoking some of Mike Lindell's crack? What are you thinking?
They're the GCCCP. We are the Devil's Advocates.
Live weekday afternoons from 3 to 6.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When they go low, we get high. The Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Your calls always welcome here at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, real quick. Saw an interesting headline at the Foxy News. Didn't expect to see it there. Guns now the leading cause of death for U.S. children, according to the CDC. Leading. Guns are number one. Number one, baby. A little bit here from this article. Firearms were the leading cause of death for U.S. children and adolescents for the first time in 2020, the most recent year with data available. While studies in 2016 found that motor vehicle accidents surpassed gun deaths for children, a roughly 30% spike in the latter between 19 and 20 made firearms number one, the leading cause of death for children, according to an analysis of CDC data. The CDC reported 4,368 child deaths by gunfire, United States, American kids, in 2020. That's over 10 a day. 10 kids a day being murdered in our country, but I'm a no on background checks.
No, you got to enforce the laws on the. Well, at least we're getting a tally now. So for Ron Johnson and other Republican senators and congressmen, it is.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, Dom. I didn't quite hear you there. Real quick, I just want to clarify how the CDC defines this. The number one metric: children. Number one death from firearms. The CDC defines children, just so we're clear, and adolescents is anyone 19 or younger. Literally teenagers or younger. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you were saying there, Tom.
10 a day. I mean, we have a number now. More than 10 a day is apparently the acceptable number of dead kids per day for Republicans before they decide to change the status quo. Now, we know it's more than 10. Maybe it's 20, maybe it's 100 a day. At some point, we'll reach a number for them to finally get out of their shell.
I'm not sure that we ever will, as long as it's not their kid. 844-967-2789. Britt from Eureka, California. Welcome. What do you got for
Britt?
us?
Hey, Devils. I had to point out when you guys started a segment a little bit earlier, you were talking about the Republicans not willing to vote for the domestic terrorism legislation.
Yes, sir.
And I kind of thought that was a little ironic. I kind of looked at that and said, there's no way they would ever vote for that legislation because they're putting themselves at risk. They are our domestic terrorists, in my personal opinion.
Well, at least their constituents are, and maybe
most certainly
5 or so Republican Congress people that the J6 committee want to speak to, but you go.
No, yeah, I think that makes a perfect thing. Why would they want to vote for domestic terrorism legislation just in time for the January 6th committee to come out with hearings this month and say, oh, by the way, we wanted to individually name those domestic terrorists up on the Hill that are contributing to this Trumpism and this continuing denial of the insurrection that almost happened and is kind of lining up to maybe happen in 2024. So, yeah, I was kind of a little, when I heard that, I kind of had to think snarkily to myself, well, yeah, why would they vote to self-incriminate with that legislation?
No doubt. Well, you're speaking of snark, and thanks for the call, Britt. GOP, the conclusion of that CNN piece, GOP Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky criticized the domestic terrorism bill on a floor speech Thursday ahead of the vote. Today, we have a bill before us, ostensibly titled and ostensibly about the subject of domestic terrorism. But this bill would be more accurately called the Democrat plan to brand and insult our police and soldiers as white supremacists and neo-Nazis. How insulting.
Well, only if they are
Republican
neo-Nazis and white supremacists.
I mean, right?
You know, if somebody said, you know, if you're a neo-Nazi or a white supremacist, I think you suck, blah, 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 blah. You know what? I would not be personally offended one iota because I don't meet that descriptor. 844-967-27.
Well, you know, some of those who work forces are the same who burn crosses, Gritty, but don't let them don't say it if it's real.
You know, I hear Paul Ryan, a big fan of Rage Against the Machine when he's P90Xing. Phil from Minneapolis. Welcome, Phil.
Hey, Phil.
Hi. I have an uncle who served in the military in Vietnam as a medic, an Army medic. And at a certain point, after he was there for a short while, they had to require all weapons to be locked up until you were going to go out on patrol because NCOs were being fragged.
Mm-hmm.
Once they locked all the weapons up, you get them to go out on patrol, you come back, they get locked up. All of a sudden, there was no fragging because they didn't have weapons to use and they didn't have ammo and everything was locked up. Now, isn't it funny? They talk about in Texas, oh, well, we should have bulletproof glass in all the windows and have remote controlled doors and blast-proof doors. And has anybody ever run up the price of all that stuff for even one?
Yeah, man, they won't even invest in the textbooks, Phil.
Those schools, yeah, they invest in textbooks, but they reserve the right to throw out the textbooks that put anything in the frame of reference that they don't like.
Right.
Even
Bulletproof
if it's
textbooks,
Can
Phil.
you believe it? Oh, yeah, bulletproof backpacks and ballistic blankets for your kids. But if the school district requires your kid to wear a KN95 mask so that they don't get as many viruses or don't spread as many viruses, that's going to cause permanent psychological damage. But having active shooter drills isn't damaging their psychology. I remember in the 50s when we had to practice duck and cover.
Yep.
And they never told us that if we were going to get bombed, we'd be vaporized or we'd be dead within 2 weeks because of the radiation anyway. It wouldn't matter if we survived the initial blast.
Phil, on that cheerful thought, we got to throw her to break, my friend. Hard one coming up. We'll come back. More of your phone calls on the other side. 844-967-2789. And oh, yes, I've got news of the very courageous Ted Cruz. Went to a vigil last night, but didn't like the tone of the reporters' questions afterwards.
That's good stuff.
I've never really felt it was society's responsibility to take care of other people's children.
Because you're bastard people.
Hear history as it happens, only on Devil Radio 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
This is Chad Spate. In 1992, I moved to Madison to pursue a PhD at UW, and I started a residential remodeling company called Chad's Carpentry. I was eager to make a difference, to change the world, and I soon realized that our remodeling company was a great place to start. We pride ourselves on understanding how houses work so that your home improvement project actually improves your home, and we love what we do. To learn more, go to chadsdesignbuild.com, and thank you, Madison, for 30 great years.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM and the Devil Radio.
School shooting. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Texas police say the 18-year-old gunman who killed 19 school children and 2 teachers walked into Robb Elementary in Uvalde unimpeded through an unlocked door. Javier Cazares' daughter, Jacqueline, was one of the children killed. He says there were plenty of police outside the building when shots were being fired inside.
While I was there, I didn't see nobody arrested. And that's what a lot of the parents were arguing with the police. Y'all need to go in. Y'all need to go do your jobs.
He says one thing that goes through his thoughts is how his daughter and the other children suffered.
God knows how long my little girl or the rest were like that.
The Senate's first response to back-to-back mass shootings in Buffalo and Texas failed today along party lines. Republicans blocking a domestic terrorism bill that would have opened debate on difficult questions surrounding hate crimes and gun safety. A bipartisan group has about 2 weeks during the recess to reach a compromise. I'm Tim McGuire.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I know it's technically still spring, but summertime has arrived over at Kohl's. I shopped their Hello Summer sale and got 40% off patio furniture, 50% off a few outdoor dining essentials, found a cute bikini top for under $20, and because I spent over $25, I got $10 off. Plus, I earned Kohl's cash. So if you want more style, more savings, and more sunshine, you know where to go. Select styles, offers end May 30th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Double Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. At the Wisconsin Elections Commission meeting last night, Republican Commissioner Dean Knudson announced he is resigning from his position as a member of the board that oversees elections in Wisconsin. Knudson, a former Republican state lawmaker who helped design the commission in 2015, stated he was resigning from the board because of the criticism he has received from fellow Republicans for not entertaining conspiracy theories that the 2020 election was conducted improperly in Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Elections Commission was supposed to vote on the board's next chair last night, but the WEC chose to delay that vote after Knudson's shocking announcement to step down. Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Voss will choose Knudson's replacement. Cloudy skies expected this morning with afternoon thunderstorms rolling in and an 80% chance for rain. The high today is 71 degrees. Thunderstorms expected to continue this evening with winds up to 10 miles an hour and an overnight low of 54 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, a Thursday edition that we sure do wish was a Friday edition. Moving in on a big 4-day weekend. About damn tired of talking about dead kids, but that is the world we live in, and it's a pretty common occurrence. You know, every couple of weeks talking about some dead kids. Hell, in this nation in the year 2020, gun deaths, #1 cause of death for kids and adolescents in the United States. That's American exceptionalism, baby. We're unique. You know, no one's like us.
We're special.
So anyways, we find ourselves talking about this again. And what is so strange to me, Dom, as the circumstances of this newest shooting come out, how many of the facts that we, the public, were first told are inaccurate. You know, the governor, Greg Abbott, calling the cops heroes. Well, the heroes sat outside for over an hour. And my understanding is the heroes were looking for keys. But the kid got in unimpeded. And they also said the kid was confronted before he went in the building. Well, now CNN is reporting that's not true.
Yeah.
Kid went into the building unimpeded.
So if and we'll find out more, hopefully we'll get the real story. But certainly it is concerning to have political and elected officials and perhaps law enforcement to tell stories that are not accurate. And I get it, you know, in the fog of war and all those kinds of things, but at some point it becomes purposeful, right? And of course, my concern being is that well, we can't make it look like a good guy with the gun isn't part of the solution, because what do they always say is part of the solution? A good guy with the gun, right? Thoughts and prayers, good guys with guns, mental illness. There's only so many variables that can be dissuaded and cast aside as not relevant before you get down to the nitty gritty. And it's evident for everyone that it is the weapons. Brian, I know you pulled this one for me. Media Matters did a little cut up of Fox News recently, and we appreciate our audience, and we had some callers yesterday and today, and offering ideas and thoughts and how to address these terrible issues. Well, Media Matters did a little cut up, and you have to bear with me here. It's about 2 minutes long. The 50 ways that Fox News pundits and hosts think that we can address the gun problem without talking about the guns.
50 ways to kill your lover. Please
50 way to, yeah, pretty much. All right, let's hear it, Brian, if you would, please.
I advocate always for an armed security guard,
armed school safety officer,
armed deputy,
arming teachers,
potentially arm and prepare and train teachers and other administrators,
armed school staffers,
bring in policemen,
training the students themselves.
Retired military, retired law enforcement. We can offer them tax breaks.
If you give law enforcement the opportunity to impose martial law, we can guarantee safety and security.
Securing that perimeter, providing kind of a ring of steel.
You have the fences, you have the main administration building, and then you have wide gaps on either side. The fencing's not very high.
Where the door's locked, bulletproof glass.
All of these shootings have happened at the same time that we see religion and Christian values and Judeo-Christian values decline.
Anybody who decides that they want to do something like this should immediately know that attacking a school is a death sentence for them.
Kids are afraid of being the school snitch.
We have to stop letting these schools be gun-free zones.
People need to put their phones down and get to know the person next to them.
We have spent billions of dollars on COVID-related measures for our schools. Let's take some of that money and divert it over to hardening these soft targets.
A lot of these private schools, they take security way more serious.
Parents, take your children to church.
This anti-police narrative is forcing people not to call police.
Is that it? I think that's the
Oh no, there's more. There's more. Maybe some technical issues here, but let me continue on. Fight this anti-police narrative. Series of interlocking doors, tripwire, trap the shooter like a rat, God, address moral rot, decrease social media exposure, focus on mental health, pray, faith and prayer, make schools more like airports. Don't be triggered. Assault rifles.
Don't be triggered.
Body armor.
What the
notification system, single point of entry. Don't talk about the shooting. Raise your children properly. Ballistic blankets. Give police more resources. Executive order for mental health facilities. Return to God. Arm yourself everywhere. And number 50, it's up to you to protect yourself. But I mean, there's so many there, 50 of them. Some of my favorites, though, Crudy, and you noticed it. Train the students themselves. Yes, let's get the 9-year-olds that were mowed down with an AR-15. Let's give them
their fault.
Some training, because yes,
exactly. I mean, by implication, you're saying it's the kids' fault. They just weren't properly trained to fend off the marauder. You know, if the 9-year-olds had been properly trained with an AR-15 and properly armed, of course.
Well, yeah.
Well, they could have fought the kid off. The kid of 18, the adult murderer in this case. Or maybe, you know, they shoot Bobby on the playground because he stole your jacks. But, you know, a little collateral damage.
I mean,
hell, we're willing to accept 10 dead kids a day plus as collateral damage in our country for the freedom to have unrestrained gun ownership or whatever the hell they think this Second Amendment gives them. Freedom.
So, I mean, you know, that's a cut up from Media Matters on Fox News and their hosts and contributors addressing. And what you did not hear in any of those 50, the top 50 was any sense of background checks or assault weapons bans.
No, I'm a no on that.
No, anything along those lines, not one word. In fact, a large percentage of them, as noted, we're arming school safety officers and deputies and teachers, administrators and school staffers, policemen, train the students themselves, retired military. And I guess that gets us back to why it's so concerning, how the law enforcement is addressing this issue, and the politicians addressing this issue in Texas. Because if your argument, if 10% of the Fox contributors and hosts think the solution is armed adults and with some sort of trained capacity on site, and that's exactly what was going on in Texas, and yet this happened, again, you have to discount that. So if you do what you say and the shooting still happens, don't you have to now do something else? Of course, we all know this is a bunch of BS from
more guns.
Yeah, that's it. More guns.
More guns in the school. More guns. Harden the schools. Arm them up. Because you need more good guys. Except there's a whole party of good guys, cops standing outside the school in Texas, and they didn't go in. And it's befuddling to me. My understanding is there were actually negotiations going on. The cops were negotiating with the guy. That is also being reported at CNN. Let me give you a little update, because some of this is still breaking news. CNN reporting the 18-year-old gunman who killed 21 at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, was not confronted by police before he entered the school, according to Texas law enforcement officials today, contradicting earlier comments from authorities and raising further questions about police response to the massacre. He walked in unobstructed initially, Texas Department of Public Safety Regional Director Victor Escalon said. So from the grandmother's house, he apparently shot her in the face, to the ditch, to the school, into the school, he was not confronted by anybody. Well, that's not what we've been told. A DPS representative on Wednesday said the school resource officer had engaged with the suspect before he went into the school. Hell, they said he shot some bullets out of the guy's armor belt or some crap. Escalon's comments come in a news conference that added further confusion to the timeline of Tuesday's horrific shooting. The massacre marked the deadliest U.S. shooting in nearly a decade, but hell, man, we've had lots of them. This one's just, a higher body count. And at least the 30th school shooting at K through 12 schools this freaking year, 30th shooting at a school this year. And it has thrown the nation where active shooter attacks jumped more than 50% last year, yet again into a fury of anger and grief amid renewed calls for gun reform laws. Those will not pass. Not with the current governance we have, not with Republicans. Every freaking Republican voted against a domestic terrorism bill today. Far too partisan. Not too many of my constituents might be caught up in this.
A little more here from CNN as well on this very issue. Victor Luna, a parent of a student at Robb Elementary School, said he pleaded with officers to give him their gear so he could go inside as the shooting was happening. I told one of the officers myself, if they didn't want to go in there, let me borrow his gun and a vest. I'll go in there myself to handle it. They told me no. He told CNN, adding that he wanted the officers to go in and get rid of that man, the shooter. He goes on to say, they took a while for them to go in there. This tragedy happens like kids didn't make it out. They were doing their job, but they could have done it quicker before that man went to the school. His son, Jaden, survived Tuesday's mass shooting. He said he also had grandchildren in the school. He told CNN that some of the officers going in and out of the building, but he wanted to see more. In a situation like that, they should have just all went in. They're innocent students in there. They could have gunned him down like he did them when he walked in.
Well, I've got an update on that regard, Dom. There was no school resource officer on site. That's how you know there was no confrontation. Let me read on. Or available at the time, he said. Inside, the suspect walked into a classroom, fired more than 25 times. The majority of the gunfire was at the beginning of the attack, at the beginning. But let me read on. Officers arrived at the school at 11:44 a.m. Now, the police station is 1 mile away, and that's a fairly rapid response, I guess. He arrived at the school at 11:28. Cops on scene at 11:44. But when they went to confront the gunman, they received fire and took cover. They called for more resources and personnel, evacuated students and teachers in other parts of the school, and at some point entered negotiations with the suspect. A U.S. Border Patrol tactical team came to the classroom, forced entry, and fatally shot the suspect after about an hour. The news conference underscored the confusion and disorganization of the police response and failed to answer questions as to how the gunman was able to remain inside the classroom for such a long time. We're up to like 90 minutes before they killed the shooter. Uvalde Police Chief Daniel Rodriguez issued a statement Thursday defending his officers' response to the shooting. 2 responding officers were shot by the suspect, but are expected to survive. That's good news, I guess. It is important for our community to know that our officers responded within minutes alongside school resource officers. Well, you just freaking said there was no school resource officer.
And responding by standing outside, armed.
Taking cover.
Well, taking cover. Why were they taking cover? Do you think they were afraid of the guy's AR-15 that was being used to shoot at them? You think that had any impact? I mean, if the perps are better armed than the cops, is that not a problem? So much for a good guy with a gun. Roster reported former FBI Assistant Director Frank Figliuzzi blasted the changing stories from law enforcement, who also initially claimed the gunman had been engaged by an armed resource school officer, which authorities have admitted was a lie. His quote, "The facts are so in conflict with each other right now that the only thing I can tell you with certainty is that the communications coming out of law enforcement right now are horribly broken." Again, this is a former FBI Assistant Director. We're all familiar with the physician's Hippocratic oath, do no harm. That press conference today by that regional DPS director did harm.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. It's a Thursday, but we're treating it like a Friday. We ain't working tomorrow. We'll play a fine replay, I'm sure. But if you want a piece, if you got something to say, today is your day. So start dialing 844-967-2789. We'll come back. More of your phone calls will be next. Devil's Advocates Radio Show. But I am heartbroken, and I am so sick of this.
Thank God, the police.
19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
With so much loss, you may feel like you can't handle it all. Meditation or other spiritual practices can help you feel more grounded and better able to cope.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
But do you think the Biden administration's called up Laura Ingraham and making the announcement to the world that we're invading Russia with amphibious troops? Come on, Trump. I mean, and I want to hear fine Trumpsters that want to defend that crap. You know, he's a little late for the early bird buffet. Maybe you people were just naive marks who believed he was a super genius. Then I got some land I'd like to sell you outside of Fukushima.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Monaco Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice hard seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MonacoBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice hard seltzer.
I love this song. I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, taking your calls, 844-967-2789.
We getting to him, Don, right away?
Let's do it. We do have some sound from Ted Cruz. I know you mentioned it earlier. We'll get to that.
I want to get to that.
Yeah, in a little bit. Let's get back to the phones. Kurt from Madison, you are up. Welcome, Kurt. What do you got for us?
Hey, Kurt.
Hi, guys. I hate to take this twisted bend in the road, but never underestimate just how evil the Republican Party is. We all know that they've been pushing very, very, very hard on the religious theme, as well as killing public schools. So, I hope I'm wrong, but there's other alternative motives for them not to stop this issue.
By allowing the public schools to be perceived as unsafe to parents, effectively you're going to push more kids into charter schools or increase the willingness to force vouchers, I guess. I mean, Kurt, I'd say, man, that's crazy talk, but I've met these Republicans.
Yeah, I feel strongly about it. I can see this being part of the undercurrent of them, just like abortion, to take control.
Appreciate it.
That's a gruesome thought, Kurt. I mean, I would love to say no. I would love to say that emphatically. I don't know. If the response is to do nothing and to always do nothing and let's enforce the laws on the books, again, if the guy had a pool noodle, those kids would still be alive today. So the good guy with the gun, all the things that they say that are needed don't impact what the actual problem is. So, I mean, if that's already the mentality, it's not a very far stretch from that point to say, well, why don't we just use this to, engage our philosophies and, promote, let it go on, and it'll make the schools, hellholes, and no one want to go there. And, it's all communist schools anyway.
Don, before we move back to the phones, we will take more callers at 844-967-2789. A few of the statistical breakdowns, just the number of guns, raw numbers. There are 120 guns for every 100 Americans. There are more guns than people in the United States. According to the Switzerland-based Small Arms Survey, no other nation has more civilian guns than people. We're number one in guns. We're number one in children's death from guns. A little bit more, the Falkland Islands, British territory in the Southwest Atlantic Ocean. Remember the Falkland Island Wars, the good old days? I
do. They interrupted my cartoons.
Claimed by Argentina and the subject of a 1982 war is the home of the world's second largest stash of civilian guns per capita. And hell, they were invaded by the British again. But with an estimated 62 guns per 100 people, its gun ownership rate is about half of the U.S. Yemen, a country in the throes of a 7-year conflict, has the third highest gun ownership rate at 53 per 100. So they're in a civil war, and they're not nearly as armed as the American people are at the current moment. A little bit more here, Dom. Well, the exact number, because these are guesstimates, the exact number of civilian-owned firearms is difficult to calculate due to a variety of factors, including, let's call them, unregistered weapons, the illegal trade, the global conflict. SAS researchers estimate that Americans own 393 million of the 857 million civilian guns available. So roughly half the guns in the world are owned by 5% of the population. America. Oh, my bad. 46%. I hate doing math on the radio.
Wow, it's almost 50%. We're going to round up at 46%.
44% of U.S. adults live in a household with a gun. I do not. I don't have a gun in the household. About 1/3 own one personally, according to an October 2020 Gallup survey. It's about how many still believe in the big lie, is it not? Just saying. Highest firearm rate in the developed world, that's the United States, according to 2019 numbers. 4 deaths per 100,000. Well, we're only sacrificing 4 per 100,000. Probably not a Republican senator's kid. And almost a third of U.S. adults believe there would be less crime if more people own guns. Right? That's what they say. But then why do we have all the mass shootings here in the United States? Why do we? And they always talk about.
The facts belie that argument. I mean, we have all those guns, the statistics you just pointed out, and we still have all the crime. So is all that gun crime comes along with the guns, right? I mean, if your thesis was that more guns would be less crime, then we should have the least amount of violent crime in the world, right? Per capita?
Well, we also have about 44% of all the world's gun suicides here in the United States. About 23,000 Americans each year die from gun suicides. About 6 per 100,000 people per year. These are all just statistics, unless it's your kid. I've said this a couple times. Ted Cruz might even care if his kid was affected.
Maybe.
I think we're running short on time, but I want to start this thought. Ted Cruz stormed off last night, went to a little vigil in Texas. Let me read a little bit from the reporting at the Washington Post. Senator Ted Cruz attended a vigil Wednesday for the victims of a massacre in Uvalde, Texas. He stormed away from an interview after he was asked by a British journalist why mass shootings only happen in America. Cruz joined Texas Governor Greg Abbott and other state and local leaders at a vigil for the 19 children and 2 adults killed in the Tuesday mass shooting at Robb Elementary School. Cruz, who is amongst the Republicans, vehemently opposed to proposals from Democrats on expanding background checks on gun sales. But I would point out, we played sound from Ron Johnson running down the Senate hallways, fleeing another reporter today, but did answer the question. No, he's also a no on background checks, universal background checks. Well, Ted Cruz has called for increased safety in schools and has condemned political posturing in the aftermath of the attack. He's also the lawmaker whose campaign or political action committee has accepted the most money from the gun rights lobby, according to the nonprofit Open Secrets. Strange how that.
Wow. That's weird. Almost like there's a direct line.
Causation, correlation sort of thing.
Hard to say.
During an interview with British Sky News reporter Mark Stone, Cruz, who was seen hugging and meeting with those at the vigil, was asked whether this was a moment to reform gun laws. Cruz responded by saying, it's easy to go to politics. I'm going to take that as a probably not. More Devil's Advocates, the happier happy hour. We're calling it the Friday edition. We know it's Thursday, but we ain't working tomorrow. So come back with us. Join us. Air your grievances. 844-96-PARTY.
The country, America, love it.
I'll make you famous.
When we built the Devil Radio World Headquarters in Madison, it was filthy with construction dust, a real mess. I called Magnific Cleaning Services and they made it shine. A few days later, we moved in and created a whole new mess. Magnific Cleaning Services made it shine again. Now Magnific Cleaning Services is the only cleaners I trust with the keys to my company. They clean Devil Radio affordably and with great attention to detail. Find them online at magnificservice.com for a free estimate. Tell them Devil Radio sent you. Summer is now, and it's not too late to make your backyard an oasis. Go Landscaping can create a sanctuary from the world right in your backyard. Stone fireplaces, stone patio, outdoor kitchens, stone is their passion. Hardworking and professional, call Cody. Their dry stone certified mason will help you design and realize your dream this summer. Call Gold Landscaping today at 608-807-9245. Stop dreaming and go love your yard.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News, I'm Tim McGuire. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden will travel to Uvalde, Texas Sunday to console families and honor victims of Tuesday's mass school shooting in which 19 children and 2 teachers were killed. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre.
These were elementary school kids. They should be losing their first teeth, not losing their lives. They should be at Little League, softball, and soccer practices this weekend. These parents should be planning their kids' summer, not their child's funeral.
Victor Escalon with the Texas Department of Safety says the 18-year-old shooter had no problem getting into the school.
He walked in unobstructed initially. So from the grandmother's house to the bar ditch to the school, into the school, he was not confronted by anybody.
Salvador Ramos was inside the building for some 40 minutes before he was shot and killed by a border patrol team. Javier Cazares' daughter, Jacqueline, was one of the 19 children killed. He says police were outside the building as the shots were being fired inside.
So they said they rushed in and all that. We didn't see that. We're from here to at least a house away, I mean, we heard the shots, we heard, but they're just trying to go back. Let's do our job, but their job was to go in and save lives, not wait.
The Senate's first effort to respond to the Buffalo and Texas mass killings failed along party lines today. Republicans blocking a domestic terrorism bill that would have opened debate on difficult questions surrounding hate crimes and gun safety. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer giving bipartisan negotiators in the Senate about 2 weeks while Congress is away for a break to arrive at a compromise. A New York State appeals court orders former President Donald Trump to answer questions under oath as part of the state's investigation of his business practices. This is AP News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I know it's technically still spring, but summertime has arrived over at Kohl's. I shopped their Hello Summer sale and got 40% off patio furniture, 50% off a few outdoor dining essentials, found a cute bikini top for under $20, and because I spent over $25, I got $10 off. Plus, I earned Kohl's cash. So if you want more style, more savings, and more sunshine, you know where to go. Select styles, offers end May 30th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Oh, Devil Radio. Good thing I brought my horns.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Listen to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM, Madison's home for progressive news talk radio, bringing you a lineup of live talk radio every single weekday. Tune in for Dueling Tangents with Luke and Brian every afternoon from 2 to 3 p.m. for Wisconsin news and a tangent or two. The Devil's Advocates radio show is live every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. Still, the greatest radio show ever. Always streaming at devilradio927.com.
Devil Radio has been kicking ass, earning every listener, and providing our sponsors return on investment 3 years now on the Madison airwaves. And there has never been a better time than right now to advertise with us and join the Devil Radio community. Our audience is loyal and growing every day. Active listeners that don't flip. Wonder if your ad dollars are working? Devil Radio listeners will tell you it works. Ad production is included. Devil Radio will make it easy for you to start seeing return on your investment. Call today.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Saturday and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on Devil Radio 92.7, WTTN 1580 AM, and the Devil Radio app.
Make sure you listen to Devil Radio 92.7. If you do, you go to heaven.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines.
State and federal investigators are looking into the state-run veterans home in Union Grove, Wisconsin for recent violations, including failure to investigate reports of abuse, not giving residents regular showers, and more, according to the Wisconsin Department of Health Services and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. State workers say the facility faced a staffing problem before the COVID-19 pandemic that has only been exacerbated over the past 2 years. At a news conference on Wednesday, Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul announced the state's Justice Department has a new software program that allows sexual assault survivors to track evidence collected in their case. The program provides updates on where the sexual assault kit is from medical facilities, law enforcement agencies, and the state crime lab. Attorney General Kaul has been working to reduce and eliminate the backlog of sexual assault kits since being elected in 2018. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, rolling into the Thursday, wish it were Friday, happier happy hour. And it is our Friday, Dom. This is our last working hour for the week. You've hardly broken a sweat.
Come on.
We got Fancy Brian here with us. He's in the Shaw, technically. And I got Evan in the world headquarters in Madison, lately screening your calls. We're going to take them, happier happy hour calls, some Thursday-ish grievances. But Dom, I'd like to lead back with the grievance, and I'll get to my grievance with Ted Cruz, but this one takes precedent. Ron Johnson, U.S. Senator from Wisconsin, if you're unaware, many-time guest on this show, says critical race theory wokeness responsible for school shootings.
That's interesting.
He apparently said this today. I will share what the senator told Foxy News Neil Cavuto. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson said he opposes new gun laws and blamed wokeness and critical race theory for school shootings days after a gunman in Texas killed 21 people, almost all of whom were elementary school students. They were too woke, those kids. They're not going to wake up anymore, Ron. This is a society-wide problem, a society-wide sickness that's not going to be solved by some gun law, additional gun laws here in D.C., the Oshkosh Republican told Fox Business host Neil Cavuto, asked whether stiffer background checks could curb future school shootings. Johnson said people will always fall through the cracks. Yeah, man, if you leave gaping holes. He added he believes some people shouldn't have guns, but questioned how that determination might be made. I bet we could find some criteria, Ron.
I think if you got a bunch of people together in a room to discuss what that criteria might be, to discuss the specifications of what weapons should be allowed and what weapons are weapons of war that should not be allowed on the streets of this country, I think there could be some progress made.
Well, Dom, let me not muddle up too much what the senator went on to say. U.S. Senator Ron Johnson quoted today. The solution for gun violence and, mass shooting lies in stronger families and more supportive communities. I would argue renewed faith. We've lost that. We've stopped teaching values in so many of our schools. Now we're teaching wokeness.
What does that even mean? For real. What wokeness? What do you mean by that? critical race theory? What do you mean?
Well,
Senator
let me continue because there's more to the quote, Dom. You'll like it. We're indoctrinating our children with things like CRT, critical race theory.
Really?
Telling some children they're not equal to others and they're the cause of other people's problems. Well, in this equation, according to Ron's math, and again, I don't like doing math on the radio, but those that, are the cause of other people's problems, poor white kids, right? That's what he's saying. Poor white kids. And Dom, I hate to bring up this crass thought. These kids in Texas, a lot of Latino kids. As far as Republicans are concerned, I bet a lot of them think hurts a little less political pressure because, they're not the lily white kids. Or how would Ron Johnson have the gumption of going on Foxy Business with Neil Cavuto and blaming the school shooting on woke elementary school kids and critical race theory? A little bit more from the Madison.com, Wisconsin State Journal Online. CRT refers to critical race theory, a decades-old academic framework used in graduate courses to understand how laws and institutions perpetuate racism. Well, look no further than U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. It is not taught in elementary schools, according to this article, Dom.
Of course it's not.
Well, not with all the furry behavior going on. Well, according to right-wing talk radio hosts, there's furries in the schools. You just put on a costume and you don't have to do any work. A little bit more. Again, I quote U.S. Senator Ron Johnson and an article from the Journal Sentinel, in this case, the author of the article. It is not taught in elementary schools, though conservatives have often conflated it with lessons focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. The concept has become a campaign talking point for loser conservatives trying to galvanize their base, their racist base.
So it's almost like Senator Ron Johnson is using this mass murder of children and throwing in his taglines of wokeness and critical race theory as a campaign shtick.
Well, wait, because Neil Cavuto actually pushed back. Neil Cavuto showed a little spine. Cavuto pushed back, saying school shootings have been going on long before wokeness and critical race theory. And Ron Johnson's answer to that, well, I think critical race theory has been going on under the radar for quite some time as well. That's what caused the school shootings, the secret CRT indoctrination in the wokeness of our students. And guns play no part, of course. They're just
of course not. Not guns.
According to Johnson, wokeness has been liberal indoctrination has been. This is a much larger issue than what a simple new gun law is going to. It's not going to solve it. It's not going to solve it. Is it more true if you say it twice? Rigged election, rigged election.
No, I got to say it 3 times to really make an effect.
Johnson's spokesperson, Alyssa Henning, did not immediately respond to a request for comment for this story. Here is a statement from U.S. senatorial candidate Tom Nelson. Ron Johnson is bearing false witness when he refuses to name the cause of the mass tragedies, which is our nation's lunatic access to weapons of mass destruction of the type used to slaughter these children in Uvalde. Doing nothing has resulted in one thing. Try to see who I'm quoting here. Alex Lasry, U.S. senatorial candidate. Doing nothing has resulted in one thing: more dead children, right? What's Ron's answer? Just there's laws in the books now. There's laws in the books now. Well, they're ineffective laws, Ron. Again, to Lasry's statement, and the people of Wisconsin are tired of having a do-nothing senator in Washington. According to Lasry, we need to ban assault weapons, expand background checks, and make our community safer. The only way to change the deadly status quo in this country is to get Ron Johnson, the hell I throw in, out of the Senate. Lasry didn't use the profanity like I would. One more. Johnson's comment come a day after Democrats blocked his effort to codify the federal clearinghouse on school safety into law. The measure calls for a clearinghouse to include information about threat prevention preparedness. I'm sorry, it's giving me more articles to read. Threat prevention, preparedness, protection, mitigation, incident response and recovery. It's a good idea, Johnson said. It could save lives. It's an action. Oh, you got some action in mind? When people are calling for action following this tragedy.
Yeah, he's got action. Complain about critical race theory in schools, which is not taught in public high schools or private high schools.
Or elementary schools.
Or elementary schools. And complain about wokeness. Whatever the hell that means, and how does that have anything to do, whatever it means, how is that in context with the murder of children with a weapon of war?
Because you're not teaching them the proper values, Tom.
What
more
values?
Church in the schools?
Oh, okay. Tell me more. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's more thoughts and prayers. These are non-answers. This is non-action. Of course, we know that, but it is stunning and amazing. Even knowing how these Republicans are, to hear Ron Johnson flail around like that, to the degree that Neil Cavuto's got to push back on the dude.
Well, dude, what was his response? Ron Johnson's response was effectively racist undertones. It was dog whistling. Critical race theory is every racist watching Foxy News. That's way of saying, it's the black people's fault. In some twisted way, Ron's also showing his racism through this interview, Dom.
Oh, absolutely. Without question. In some regard, showing why critical race theory as a theory is something. We have a U.S. senator engaging in this behavior. It's almost like it's, I don't know, systemic or something like that.
The whole white nationalism, the whole movement afoot in our country currently, the storming of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, and those guys had guns, Ron. They were just at the hotel rooms primarily, although some showed up with Molotov cocktails, and they did have weapons and tasers and bear spray. But ultimately, the only way the minority can continue to rule our country is as a bully, with threat of violence, with voter intimidation and voter suppression. Because you know what? They're losing the fair fight, Dom. Their thoughts and ideas, they're not compelling to the American people. The vast majority of the American people, like 90%, 89%, something like that, we want universal background checks now, today. We don't want our politicians to show up at the NRA event tomorrow and go backstage and cash checks and then walk onto the stage and say, if it weren't for wokeness and critical race theory and these uppity black people, well, we wouldn't have to shoot so many people.
Oh, come on, Crudy. They're all about the background checks. They're going to go backstage in the background and cash the checks.
Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. It's a happier happy hour because we ain't doing another one, not this week. We'll be back on like Tuesday-ish. Nice long 4-day weekend. So if you got a thought, you better get it in right now. Start dialing. And this segment will probably get to the phones. 844-967-2789. I appreciate your patience. Callers will get to you next. Maybe.
The NRA does care.
I've never really felt it was society's responsibility to take care of other people's children.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that Smokey's only said,
"Only you can prevent wildfires."
But I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when there are parched or windy conditions out there, you gotta be extra careful with things like burning yard waste. After all, wildfires can start anywhere, even in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at P4PPC.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
Aaron Mustovsky, who rioted at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, was dressed as Captain Caveman. QAnon shaman meets Law and Order.
Right. I mean, he pulled it off a whole lot better than Aaron Mustovsky.
Well, let me read a quote from the judge in this case. I hope you'll leave some of this fantasy world behind. Mustovsky was sentenced to 8 months in prison.
Looking at the guy, he might be one who loses his mattress on the first day. Breaking news.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived in Philadelphia. Local time is 3:05 p.m. and the temperature is 67 degrees. At this time, you are now free to use your cellular devices.
You know that feeling when you get to turn your phone on after the plane lands? You can have that feeling every time you drive. Make sure your cell phone is stowed away whenever you are behind the wheel.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Going to the phones, we promise, at 844-967-2789. We'll get to him before Crudy gets another idea in his head. Jack from the Mac, you are up. Welcome, Jack. What do you got for us?
Hey, Jack. Oh, man.
Hey.
I thought you were sleeping at the wheel, Jack. Wake up,
Hey,
man.
Jack.
You're on the greatest radio show ever.
Yeah, I'm listening. But seriously, happy Memorial Day weekend.
I'm back at you, Jack.
Oh,
Man,
no.
no.
They got some terrible cell up in that Lodi Merrimack area. I apologize, Jack. You held a long time for not a lot, but if you call back on a cleaner line, we'll give you one more crack. Dick from Madison at 844-967-2789. Dick, welcome. What do you got?
Hey, Dick.
Well, all of this stuff that's been going on the last few days since this tragedy, it's just, but Ted Cruz, another thing that amazed me, you know what he said too about this? There should be less doors on the schools. Well, here's a Harvard educated guy, and less doors? First thing I thought of is, let's say we got a bomb threat or a fire threat. We're going to all have a central little tiny area to go out of. I mean, this guy is an abject moron for a person that was supposedly educated at Harvard. Come on.
Hey, let's not hold the Harvard education against him, man. Dom and I are graduates of the fine University of Wisconsin La Crosse, and people hardly ever hold our stupidity against us.
But Dick, we wouldn't say stupid ass things like that. But in his defense, Dick, he's trying to say anything else other than to address, and him and all the Republicans, other than to address the very real problem of the gun.
Right. We'll talk to anything else but the actual issue itself.
Yep.
That's what they're all about. You look at across the board, every single Republican that comes out and does say something about this, it's all like, I told Matt this morning, one last thing. It started out, it's video games caused this. Then it's, mental health now with Abbott. And I said this morning to Matt, the next thing will be they weren't breastfed.
It's the video games. Hell, it's mental health.
It's critical race theory. It's
the music. It's the music. It's Elvis shaking his dirty, sexy hips. That's it. Really all started with Elvis. Let's just put blame where it belongs.
Elvis's fault.
It's all Elvis's fault.
New film at Cannes.
Well, that's good. Now murders are going to go up. It's going to hellfire is going to rain on this earth because there's a new Elvis movie. It's all Elvis's fault.
Okay, Jack, it's one more crack from Merrimack. Jack, I hope you got a good line, man. Welcome back.
Hey, Mac. Jack Mac.
So do I. I think some of it is weather related. Anyway, first of all, the 50 Ways to Kill Your Friends seems like most of them are like, let's get more guns into the school. Now, what could possibly go wrong with that?
Right.
And then secondly, good old Ron Johnson, you got to love him too. The gun laws aren't the answer. Well, you know what? In the last 20 years that I can think of, the only gun laws that have been passed have been those that allow more guns on the street rather than trying to control the guns on the street. That doesn't seem to be like there have been any real serious attempts. So why don't you try it once, Ron? We know the answer to that. He's in the pocket of the gun laws.
Well, you're only allowed to try the ivermectin and the hydroxychloroquine and all the drugs if you want to.
And that's a good point. And thanks for the call, Jack. You know, I mean, when it comes to treating COVID, it's try everything, right? Ron's like, try everything, do it all. But when it comes to trying to address the murderous rampage that is the United States of America, nothing can be done. We just got to enforce the laws that we have. Where is the same mentality to try all the drugs, to perhaps try all the ideas to curb this? Because it's not just, one individual person trying to fight and overcome COVID. It's the mass murder of innocent children.
Tom Hartman, our friend and colleague in Lefty Talk. Tom Hartman's got a piece published, I think at Salon, initially republished at the Raw Story, that effectively points out we tried the Republicans' way.
Yeah.
We're doing it your way, and our society is crumbling. Anyways, Mark from the SAC. Welcome, sir. What do you got?
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, thanks. And they talk about religion. Well, for religion, I mean, they use religion to support slavery for several hundred years. And the Ku Klux Klan actually had a minister that administered each of their little.
Well, there's a reason they're burning crosses, Mark.
That approved, the murder of and beatings and lynchings of people, because that was, they're in a holy mission to, maintain their white supremacy. I mean, that this is history, for goodness sake. It's not critical race theory. And maybe some of these people had a little bit more compassion. Being woke means a little bit more compassion. You're supposed to have Christian charity in your heart. All these crackers that talk about Christianity. Well, try reading the Bible and read the humanity that Jesus spoke of. Treat your fellow man like an equal.
Careful.
No, come on
this show. You're going to get them all fired up.
Besides,
can't you just say maybe Christ was a historical figure that set a good example that these Republicans are not following?
Christ was not a historical figre, and it wasn't just Elvis's
historical figure.
I mean, you can write about him. I mean, Thor is a historical figure, but besides Elvis's shaking his hips, it's the shellfish and the mixing of the linens and the wools. Let's just be honest, folks.
Come back, more Devil's Advocates.
Freedom! We can't go on together with suspicious minds.
Ted Cruz, go yourself.
Supplying your political fix on the back roads from Sauk City to Beaver Dam on WTTN 1580 AM Devil Radio.
Hey, Jimmy, it's Rocker. Meet me at the new Dark Horse Art Bar in East Wash. Happy hour is Tuesday through Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. You pick the day. 2-for-1 rail drinks and slices of Sal's tomato pies for $1. Jimmy, it's happy hour at the Dark Horse Art Bar. 756 East Washington in Madison, across from the Sylvie.
Madison's newest happy hour, craft cocktail, local art and music. Find out more at the new Dark Horse Art Bar and Gallery, online at darkhorsemadison.com.
Listen to your favorite political talkers no matter where you are. 92.7 FM in Madison and Eastern Dane County, 1580 AM Columbus, north of Madison, and for daytime east-west commutes on I-94, 101 FM in the Shaw, and 540 AM covering eastern Wisconsin all day and covering the Milwaukee Metro, the Wild Counties, Racine, and Kenosha 24/7. Download the free Devil Radio app for your smartphone and take both stations with you everywhere. No excuses, just listen.
Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. Texas State Police say the 18-year-old gunman in Uvalde, Texas, walked into the elementary school unobstructed through an unlocked door. Victor Escalon with the State Department of Safety says there have been comments that police should have acted sooner.
Once we interview all those officers, what they were thinking, what they did, why they did it, the video, the residual interviews, we'll have a better idea. Could anybody have gone there sooner? You got to understand, small town.
19 children and 2 teachers are dead. Among the dead, 4th grader Jacqueline Cazares. Her father, Javier, says police were outside the building when the shooting started.
As soon as they heard that gunshot, they should have rushed in.
The Senate's first attempt at responding to the back-to-back mass shootings in Buffalo and Uvalde have failed as Republicans blocked the domestic terrorism bill that would have opened debate on gun safety. A bipartisan group has been given through the coming recess to reach a compromise. I'm Tim McGuire.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I know it's technically still spring, but summertime has arrived over at Kohl's. I shopped their Hello Summer sale and got 40% off patio furniture, 50% off a few outdoor dining essentials, found a cute bikini top for under $20, and because I spent over $25, I got $10 off. Plus, I earned Kohl's cash. So if you want more style, more savings, and more sunshine, you know where to go. Select styles, offers end May 30th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
From Up North News, I'm Pat Kreitlow. Coming into this week, a lot of people assumed the next head of the State Elections Commission would be the moderate Republican member of the board, not the one who was a fraudulent elector for Donald Trump. But then the moderate member, Dean Knudson, began Wednesday's meeting by resigning. We learned Thursday it was Ron Johnson who gave the nudge, telling Knudson he no longer has grassroots support for the post. Why? Because unlike Johnson and that fake elector, Robert Spindell, Knudson acknowledges Joe Biden won fair and square and that his party should stop pushing lies. Instead, he's been forced out, and the Elections Commission has a vacancy that Assembly Speaker Robin Vos gets to fill. Also, on Instagram and Facebook, a then and now slideshow of the George Floyd mural locations on State Street in Madison 2 years after his murder. Get our newsletter at upnorthnewswi.com.
The Devil's Advocates. Sausage making never looked so good.
Problem is all inside your head, she said to me.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. 50 ways to solve the problem without mentioning guns or actual solutions. I mean, hell, if you believe Ron Johnson from the great state of Wisconsin, the real problem is the critical race theory and the wokeness. Teaching these kids to be too woke. Now, Rojo does deny that he pressured Dean Knudson off the Wisconsin Elections Commission. But, you know, I feel like, you know, just like he denies that Donald Trump quid pro quo Zelensky for the missiles, right?
Yeah, right.
Anyways, there's a little bit more. We talked briefly about the domestic terrorism bill that, you know, got shot down along party lines in the U.S. Senate today. Here is what our pal, U.S. Senator, well, before I get to that, one other quick thought. The top recipients, at least in this calendar year, of gun money, let's call it. What do they describe it as? Gun rights group money.
Well, call it blood money. How about blood money? Let's say blood money. I like that better.
Well, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson came in 4th in the U.S. Senate. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, he was exceeded by Rand Paul and U.S. Senator John Kennedy. We hear him occasionally. He's that asinine guy. Sounds like a foghorn leghorn.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Johnson came in 4th out of the Senate and House members who took gun rights money. apparently just directly to his campaign, just about 25 grand from the pro gun rights group. He placed third among U.S. Senate colleagues. Oh, so Kennedy and Rand Paul. When I said fourth amongst all Congress people. And where is he? Fitzy, Congressman Fitzgerald, Republican from Juneau, came in 12th out of the House and Senate. So there's 435 plus 100. That's like 535 congressional representatives. And he's number 12. That's pretty good company, or, bad company, depending on your point of view.
Doesn't take much to cash a check, does it?
He cashed $14,800 worth of checks, seventh among House members.
What is so disturbing? It is so cheap. They sell for so cheap. I mean, 14 grand? Really? That's the price to hold the rest of the country hostage for trying to do something so innocent kids don't get slaughtered. I got 14 grand. Sorry, my hands are tied.
Yeah, but if you get 14 grand from them, and then you get 14 grand from the petrochemical companies, and 14 grand from the climate change deniers, and 14, it starts adding up to a lot of money. And that's how you get reelected and you stay in power. See how smooth and swell that is? And what was the statement from Tammy Baldwin? I got to look a little bit harder if I want to repeat what it is that my senator, because I claim her, here's what she said regarding the anti-domestic terrorism bill defeated by all U.S. senators that are Republican, including Ron Johnson. Here's what Tammy tweeted. Senate Republicans just voted against the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act, blocking a debate about racially motivated hate crimes, white supremacy, violent extremism, and gun violence in America. Instead of doing something, they choose to do nothing today. Ron's office had no comment.
No comment. No time.
Although on the campaign contributions from the gun rights group, Ron's not influenced by an insignificant amount of capital like that. Hell, he took $1.2 million to the PAC from the NRA. That's the real money. Don't be fooled by the little donations. He's not influenced by the little ones, just the big ones.
See, there you go.
844-967-2789. Matt from Mount Horeb. Welcome, Matt. What do you got for us?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the call. I don't get these people, man. Like all these teachers are groomers and pedophiles. We need them armed to the teeth. The only way.
Right, dude.
I mean, is your name Jeffrey Lebowski? Because your mind is limber. I need you to send me a PDF of that drug regimen ASAP. That's
you want some of what they're smoking, Matt?
Man, they were nihilists, man. They kept saying they believed in nothing.
Snorting.
Picked a hell of a day to quit sniffing glue, didn't we, Matt?
I
appreciate you listening.
That's a great point, though. Yes, the teachers, they're the ones doing the indoctrination, right? They're the ones teaching critical race theory. The teachers are the ones that are woke. Give them guns. That's what we need to do.
Well, that and the students, especially the elementary school students, because
little guns. Like little 22, revolvers. You can't. I think you got to get little 22. Little 22 revolvers. I don't.
Is that going to have the stopping power? When a bad guy's got an AR-15 and your kid's
and body armor, and you're basically shooting pea shooters at them. Well, I don't know if they're big enough to get their little fingers around, the barrel and the gun. Maybe if they get like the pistol grip. I don't know. I think we'd have to really do
something
study.
With no
I'm
recoil,
pretty sure
perhaps.
The NRA has a great recommendation for a gun for the 9-year-old.
Well, I'm sure they'll be selling it in Houston, Texas tomorrow when they have their national convention deep in the heart of Texas. I bet you Ted Cruz will be there as well.
Ted Cruz. Can we get back to Ted Cruz?
Yeah, I want to get back there right now. Timothy Bella at the Washington Post. The headline here, Cruz storms off after being asked why mass shootings happen only in America. I think I'd read a little of this reporting. Some of you have left and come back and left again. But we've got the sound of it. So we're going to play the sound. So you didn't miss anything. Not yet. Fancy Brian, you ready for this? Let's play the Ted Cruz, and the other voice you hear is a Sky News reporter. And it's sort of a tense little give and take, if you will. Stone is the reporter's name. So when you're ready, Fancy, drop the sound. Ted Cruz after the vigil yesterday.
Yeah. Is this the moment to reform gun laws?
You know, it's easy to go to politics.
But it's important. It's at the heart of the issue.
I get that that's where the media likes to go.
No, it's not. It's where many of the people we've talked to here like to go.
The proposals from Democrats in the media, inevitably, when some violent psychopath murders people.
A violent psychopath who's able to get weapons so easily. 18-year-old with 2 AR-15s.
If you want to stop violent crime, the proposals the Democrats have, none of them would have stopped this.
But why does this only happen in your country? I really think that's what many people around the world they cannot fathom. Why only in America? Why is this American exceptionalism so awful?
You know, I'm sorry you think American exceptionalism is awful.
I think this aspect of it.
You got your political agenda.
No, it's honestly,
God love you.
Senator, it's not. I just want to understand why you do not think that guns are the problem.
Why is this just an American problem?
Well, it is just an American problem, sir.
Mr. Cruz, why is America the only country that faces this kind of mass shooting?
But you can't answer that. You can't answer that, can you, sir? You can't answer that. Why is this country?
Why is it that people come from all over the world to America? Because it's the freest, most prosperous, safest country on earth.
It may be the freest, it may be the most.
Why are our kids dying in front?
And Ted Cruz walked off and said, "God bless you," or something to the
No, he walked off, and we missed that particular part of it. Called him a propagandist. God love you. Your political agenda, you propagandists. Those are the words that a U.S. senator whose constituents, kids, just got murdered, says to a reporter asking very serious, very legitimate questions. No solutions. Oh, with the Dems and the media. Of course, you throw the media, and the media proposing, that wouldn't have stopped this. Nothing's going to. Well, I mean, that's it. You're a propagandist. You have a political agenda, and God love you. You wonder why? You wonder why I have such a disregard for politicians like that? God love you. Did you really mean it, Ted? You get a question that you can't answer or you won't answer, and it's someone else's political agenda. It's someone else's propaganda. What are your solutions, Ted? What are you going to tell your constituents, Ted? Sorry, nothing I can do.
Well, Ted is traveling to the NRA convention, looking for some of those baby-sized guns, for children's hands.
Well, arm the kids, man.
Them. Get the schools ready for, the inevitable future attack, because Ted Cruz's solution is Jack Squad. He offers no solution, just platitudes. It's your fault, media. It's the Democrat fault. At least he didn't blame it on CRT and wokeness like Senator Ron Johnson did today.
Give him time. He just hasn't heard it from Ron yet. I'm not saying arm the kids. I'm not saying the children are our future, but some kids in Wisconsin walked out today. In fact, my kid in Wisconsin walked out today. Whitefish Bay High School students walked out of school Thursday to rally against gun violence in the wake of the deadly elementary school shooting on Tuesday. About 11 a.m., students walked out of the front of the school around the side of the building to the stadium, which houses the football field. At the stadium, a moment of silence was held for the 19 kids and 2 teachers fatally shot. Speeches followed before students returned to class about a half hour after the walkout began. Reading from the Journal Sentinel today, Alec Johnson reporting, and Izzy was one, my girl, walking out in protest. And this is just a couple of weeks after she protested down in Milwaukee on the Roe v. Wade issue. I mean, my 17-year-old daughter is dealing with, these political issues, and, bless her. And I am so proud of her and all those kids that are taking a stand. And I'm not saying arm those kids. I know you don't want to arm those kids. You just want to arm all the other kids to shoot the bad guys. But those kids, they're going to be voting, and they're going to remember. And I cannot wait for that to happen.
844-967-27 1589. Wisco Paul, welcome, man. It's been a couple days, I feel like.
Hey, Paulie, what's happening?
Hey, well, it's raining like heck out here in the Bell Line, but I just got a quick one. Actually, I don't know. I don't understand the GOP at all. But if I read the Brady bill right, if that was a national bill, that would have stopped this guy, right? I mean,
I haven't tried to go through and differentiate whether AR-15s, but any sensible. I mean, when you look at the mass shootings in the United States, the commonality in almost every case other than white male loner is AR-15.
Correct, but wasn't the maybe I read the Brady bill wrong. I did a quick read of it, but I didn't. I guess I better be better at doing my facts here. But I'm
not saying you're wrong, Paul. I just haven't read the Brady bill because there's no legislative will. Republicans oppose saving kids. We sacrifice 11 American children each and every freaking day, Paul. And doesn't matter what the Brady bill was, because as long as Ron Johnson and Ted Cruz serve in the U.S. Senate, we don't get a new Brady bill. The next one, I assure you, will include a ban on AR-15s for civilian use.
Well, it's tied up in the Senate right now. The congressional piece, the Congress passed it, so Mitch is blood. Well, I tell you what, the bottom line, then they got blood on their hands. I mean, you can't never stop everything, but you can at least make an attempt and try.
Enforce the current laws, Paul, and stop waking up the kids, these woke kids. That's what's causing it. Give them the Bible and slap them on the ass and send them back to the war zone.
Well, today Boss said he's for arming teachers. Now, give me a break. I mean, that's just lame. So, the only hope you have is if, I guess, you get the Senate back and you can keep the Congress and pass some kind of a pumped up Brady bill, because this needs to stop, the bottom line. I mean, I'm not a radical here, I don't think. So, well, anyway, great show today. And I'm just beside myself with this whole thing. Thanks for taking my call.
Nah, thanks, Paul. Appreciate you listening, man. Well, we know. I mean, the Republicans stormed the Capitol, man. And most of the elected Republicans are down with it. So don't look to them to make any significant change. We are the Devil's Advocates. One more segment, 844-967-2789.
Check the chocolate.
No, that Senator Cruz went 2 minutes over. So
I want the record to reflect that I did not call Senator Sanders an ignorant slut.
That boy is good.
Mm-hmm. Good and terrible. This guy is a racist.
Social media? You've kept up with the times. If you can do that, you can definitely save for retirement. Go to aceyourretirement.org, and in just 3 minutes, you'll get free tips to help boost your retirement savings. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
They say singing can help you remember things. So here's some tips for parents out there during these tough times.
Number 1,
make sure your kids wash their hands for 20 seconds after they've coughed or sneezed or been outside.
2,
virtual play dates, social and physical distancing can help save lives.
3,
tell them they're safe and show your love and pride. Yes, we'll get through this together. Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
My senator and yours, Ron Johnson. See a big story about him at the Hill this week in Hill.com. Wisconsin Democrats and Republicans both want Ron to run, but for different reasons. I think some Democrats think, oh, he's just so crazy. Of course we'll beat him, which is what they said about Trump too. Miss that guy? Not much. Not much. He used to come around.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
I'm Kirk Bankstad, and I own the Minocqua Brewing Company in deep red northern Wisconsin, and I have a super PAC. We make good trouble by buying billboards, radio ads, and calls to voters in northern Wisconsin. We target federal and state elections, think Ron Johnson and Tom Tiffany, and concentrate on a fair redistricting process. Give a donation now if you're able at the MinocquaBrewingCompany.com super PAC tab. Help us make the politics of the Northwoods as clean as our lakes and streams. That's the MinocquaBrewingCompany.com super PAC tab.
What grows in the forest? Our imagination and our family bonds.
The forest is closer than you think. Find a forest near you at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Big and tall of political talk, the Devil's Advocates.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. If you got something to say, hit us up right now. Toll-free talk or text 844-967-2789. Fancy Brian playing a little Layla. Reminds me, man, the end of that song, Goodfellas. Ray Liotta, actor, starred, great role in Goodfellas. Passed away today at the age of 67. One of my faves. He will be missed.
Second best mobster movie of all time. Goodfellas.
I concur.
Behind let's see if we agree on number one.
Godfather.
Wrong.
Oh,
Godfather
how dare
Part
you?
2.
I mean,
superior
2
movie.
is great, but I mean, 1 is better.
Oh,
come on. I mean, let's not also. I mean, Pulp Fiction is a kind of a gangster movie. Maybe not the Italian mob per se, but definitely a great gangster movie.
Worst gangster movie of all time. Godfather Part 3.
Brian, you're a pop culture guy. What do you think?
Oscar. Sylvester Stallone and
that one was so bad. You're the only one that watched it, Brian.
Well, Tim Curry was good in it.
I'll take your word for it, friend. One more headline of the day. Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden will travel to Uvalde, Texas Sunday to meet with family members of the 21 killed. And I saw, and I don't have the article in front of me, but the teacher that was murdered, her husband today died of a heart attack.
Oh, it's just terrible.
Yeah. I think the Brewers got a big game in St. Louis tonight.
Come on, man. 844-967-2789. I mean, there is some decent news out there.
What's that? Ron Johnson forced Dean Knudson off the Elections Commission, and Voss is probably considering your choice, Gableman.
I told you, man.
I know, and that was in the paper today.
Oh, was it really? I called it last night, man. As soon as I saw that headline.
You know what Voss is quoted this afternoon, I believe was Politics, my source. Voss is quoted as saying effectively, we'd really like to put someone on that board with a legal background.
Right. But he also said someone that didn't want to overturn the election. So,
well, they only tell half the truth or
that sounds about right. No, here's the great news. I mean, it's been.
Lay it on me, brother.
Hopefully over the weekend, there won't be another mass shooting, especially of kids. Not that there's any good person or to die in mass shootings. But maybe we'll move on at some point. But here was my nugget for the day. The AP reporting former President Donald Trump must answer questions under oath in the New York Attorney General's civil investigation into his business practices. A state appeals court ruled on Thursday, rejecting his argument that he be excused from testifying because his answers could be used in a parallel criminal probe. A 4-judge panel in the appellate division of the state's trial court upheld Judge Engoron's February 17th ruling, which enforced subpoenas requiring Trump and his 2 eldest children, Ivanka and Junior, to give deposition testimony in Tish James's probe. Quote, the existence of a criminal investigation does not preclude civil discovery of related facts at which a party may exercise the privilege against self-incrimination, the appellate panel wrote, citing the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution and other legal protections for witnesses. Lawyers for the Trumps agreed in March that they would sit for depositions within 14 days of an appellate panel decision upholding the ruling. They could also appeal the decision to the state's highest court, the Court of Appeals, delaying the matter and the Trumps' potential testimony indefinitely. What do you think's going to happen, Crudy?
I'm not sure. Dom, I got one happy headline for you.
Oh,
as
all
the
right, that's my happy
Michigander
headline.
on
What's
the
your
channel,
happy headline?
GOP frontrunner for Michigan governor kicked off the ballot for election fraud. That's the breaking news out of Michigan.
There is fraud in elections, especially when Republicans are involved.
Is this number 6? Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer may have a far easier path to re-election after the GOP frontrunner was kicked off the ballot for botched election fraud schemes. Two of the leading candidates for the GOP nomination for Michigan governor say they will ask the courts to intervene after they were found ineligible today for the August primary, reshaping the race to challenge Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer in the battleground state this fall.
Big Gretch.
Former Detroit Police Chief James Craig, who has led in most primary polls, and businessman Perry Johnson, along with three other lesser knowns, did not qualify for the ballot. The State Elections Bureau recommended they be disqualified, saying it found thousands of fraudulent signatures and petitions submitted by the candidates. Neil Bigdor wrote for the New York Times, the disqualification sent the race in a key battleground state into chaos and dealt a serious blow to the party's plans to challenge Governor Gretchen Whitmer. The Democratic, oh, wow. The journalist actually added the IC on the end.
I'm so not used to it. Yes.
Pardon me. Hello, talk amongst yourselves. In addition to the frontrunners, Republicans Donna Brandenburg, Michael Brown, and Mike Markey, although it looks like malarkey, were also disqualified. Johnson had spent millions on his campaign. The Republicans who remain on the ballot are Dixon, who recently was endorsed by the family of former Trump administration education secretary Betsy DeVos. So you see where they're coming from. And real estate agent Ryan Kelly. You could put a B in front of that and it'd be fancy. Ryan Kelly, businessman, and Kevin Rinke, Pastor Ralph Rebant.
We should, man, try to get Big Bri on the ballot. And you lived in Michigan for a while, right?
And
yeah, man,
chiropractor Garrett Saldano. Let me get Mr. Saldano.
Oh, of course. What were they? Those are like ghost candidates. What do they call them in Florida? They just busted a bunch of folks for.
Yeah, like ghost candidates.
Yeah. Ryan Kelly, would you, if asked, would you serve?
You know what, I would serve proudly. My parents live out there. I can claim them as residents, and it'll be fine. Yeah. I could pull a Grothman. They don't have a basement, but
Grothman. That sounds more like a Mark Meadows to me.
Oh.
No, Mark Meadows didn't live in the trailer park with his parents, though. I mean,
all right, fancy Ryan Kelly off to Michigan. Now go get your freaking shine box. We use one of the lines from that great movie more often than most. And that's because Scott Walker, the former governor of the state of Wisconsin, I call him the wanker. He perpetually should go get his freaking shine box and shut the up. And I didn't even quote him this week, but it's awful.
Yeah, right.
And you, Ron Johnson, you have become an awful human being. I gotta put it out there, Dom. You used to come around, bring beer occasionally. You liked him. You'd invite him.
Yeah, he took the call, but notice I haven't invited lately. He's over the edge, and I guess I'm probably just too woke and too CRT for him these days.
And I hear you're armed. I hear Republicans don't like to be in the room with armed people. Just see the NRA convention with Trump this weekend. Have a great one.
In prison, dinner was always a big thing. We had a pasta course, and then we had a meat or a fish.
I've never really felt it was society's responsibility to take care of other people's children.
Now go home and get your f***ing shine box.
Oh, that really hits the spot.
So we get to put away the Senator Sanders impersonation for a little while?
I'm not saying that he's gone for good, but stopping out here